Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Amber May, and I'm a voice actor out here in Los Angeles. I'm the voice of Dia in Genshin Impact, Yanqing in Honkai Star Rail, the narrator in Comey Can't Communicate, and I also voice Brooklyn Barbie in the movie Barbie Big City Big Dreams. I'm here to let you know that I'm going to be a guest this year at Urban NerdCon in Atlanta. Yeah, woo! That's going to be April 26th through the 28th at the... where are we going again? It's going to be at the Cortland Grand Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia. So, if you're a Genshin Impact fan, a MiHoYo fan, and you live on the East Coast, you got no excuse. Come see me. Urban NerdCon. Our heroes, our villains, our stories. Come on down. Let's do it. Let's get it on. Ugh.
TheUrbanNerdCon.net to get your buy one, get one free badges before the price increases. Remember, our heroes, our villains, our stories. Everyone's con. See you there.
But earmuff, you stay on hard.
All right, hello, good evening. Welcome to another live episode of the BCSN SportsWrap. Brian Fulford here, live in my home studio. And on the road traveling is none other than A.D. Drew, on the road covering ground somewhere in the backwoods of either Alabama or Georgia. Drew, how you doing this evening? How's your day been?
Man, I'm doing fine. Just happy to be back once again, around my HBCU culture, live and in living color. Just a tremendous weekend. Got a lot of stuff done this weekend on the professional and the personal level.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I saw that for those of you who, if you didn't catch, Drew was at the GCAC. We can still call it that for a little while longer. At the GCAC basketball tournament in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and covering that event. And coming up a little bit later in the show, we will hear his exclusive interview with the commissioner, Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes. Drew, your time there. What? Just give people a little sense of what the tournament was like at Stillman, who will be a future member of the. Well, I guess it won't be the GCAC when they become a member, but share a little thoughts if you can before we get to our first big guest of the show.
First of all, shout out to athletic director Terrence Whittle, Chris Meganson, who's a colleague of ours, and everybody over there at Stillman for hosting a good event. First time with them hosting it on Stillman's campus, first time with the event being in Tuscaloosa. I think it's called Visit Tuscaloosa is the tourism board there. They did a good job opening the door for our HBCU conferences, welcoming them in. Just a tremendous job, great atmosphere, perfect size arena for this level of basketball. Not too big, not too small. Just a tremendous job. Only drawback to that was those big boys across town, University of Alabama, who had home games also during the same time. So hotel rates got a little jacked up for those people who did not get their hotels early enough. But other than that, oh, bruh, when I decided to go to Tuscaloosa and I looked for hotel prices, I'm like, what the hell is going on out here? You know,
Thought you
three,
thought
four
you was
hundred
in
dollars.
Tallahassee. Thought you were in Tallahassee for a minute during homecoming,
Well,
huh?
that's what it looked like. It looked like Tallahassee homecoming rates for some of those hotels that you had to stay in. And I'm not talking 4-star with the hotels. The normal 3-star hotels, your Comfort Inns, your Holiday Inns, and stuff like that were going for the the Microtel was going for $419.
What? Wow.
Yeah, Microtel was $419, bro.
Oh, ridiculous. Well, we can say coming out of the GCAC, who had their championship day today, we do have one champion that has been crowned. On the women's side, it is a familiar face and a friend of the show. The Rust Lady Bearcats have won the GCAC championship for the, get it, not 1, not 2, not 3, but for the 4th consecutive year. And let's bring on our first guest coming on the show. He is none other than the head coach of those Lady Bearcats, joining us live from Tuscaloosa. Look at that with the net around his neck, Coach EJ, Coach Eric Jackson. Coach, congratulations. I'm assuming it never gets old to be a winner, but how does this one feel, Coach?
This one was really good, man. It was special in its own way. More so just because some of our contributors, it was their first year in the program, some of our main contributors, and so that was a task in itself of trying to merge the old with the new in a higher role. And so our vets did a really good job of showing them the way and being consistent. And so I was just proud of that.
Of course, this season, Rust 28-3 record, 17-1. I don't know if I'm just looking at the GCA at the NAIA standing, so I don't know if that's including the 3 wins. So I apologize if I'm shorting you a couple of wins in that record. But 4 years in a row, Coach. I mean, you've created and you set the standard. What goes into the process of winning those? And every year is different, but here you are now. You're a veteran of winning these. You've created a dynasty. I think it's fair to say. What goes into the process to get to this point?
I mean, it's just preparation, starting in the summertime, figuring out what we need to sustain success, plugging in the holes of what's needed from a personnel standpoint, and then also looking in the mirror as a coach and trying to say, hey, how can I get better? What coaching clinics do I need to go to? What things I need to get better at, whether it be player development or, running some better sets and all those different types of things, and just kind of just taking it in stride and seeing how things take when you mix the plays with the players and all those different types of things. And so you got to be able to be fluid in that way. And then, you just kind of just keep going, trial and error.
I hear you. Go ahead, Drew.
Congratulations, Coach. I
Thanks.
told you on Friday when I saw you that when you win, I was going to make sure you was going to be our first guest on the show this weekend. So I appreciate you keeping your half of it by getting the W first.
No doubt. Appreciate the confidence, brother.
Yeah. Now, you've had an entire class who knows nothing but GCAC championships. When you look at that, how special is that for an entire class? You brought in a group of girls as freshmen and took them out as seniors. They've got nothing but rings. How special is that for you as a coach?
I just think that's just a testament of them, them having great buy-in, a testament to the consistency of support from our administration and from our fans and from our student body, just pouring into us in whatever way that they can. And them coming in and continuing to get better themselves in the way that we need them to, whether it to be a better leader, whether to be a better scorer, a better free throw shooter, and them stepping up to the task at hand every year. And that's not easy to do. And I told them that after we won today, just kind of highlighted them on, winning that many in a row consistently is not easy to do. And they should be proud of themselves for that.
And they definitely should be proud of themselves for that. All right, Coach, I'm just going to let them in on a little bit of secret, if you don't mind. You and I had a conversation Friday when you were sitting in the stands scouting. And there's always this thing where they say coaches always look to the next game, one game at a time. But I'm going to be honest with everybody. Not only was you looking at the next game, but you was looking 2 games ahead also, knowing that Fisk would be a probable opponent for you in the championship game. Now, I'm not going to get into the scouting report that you and I talked about, but, just talk about that Fisk team. What gave you the sense that was going to be your opponent on Friday, that you knew that was the team that you was probably going to play? And let's be real, you had to go up against the Conference Player of the Year, and she's won National Player of the Week 2 times this season. Just talk about Maya Buchanan and how special a player she is and what you had to do to neutralize her today.
Well, first of all, our whole staff was preparing scouts year in and year out, well, day in and day out. So I was just on the Fisk scouting staff, and then Coach Shay Johnson, who's one of the greatest young coaches out there, and my brother, Coach Kobe, they had Philander. So Philander's a great team as well. So we scouted them both equally. I would just so happen to be on the Fisk side of things, and we kind of split them up because you only have 12 hours prep time to get ready for a team. And so if you wait till after the game's over to try to prep, then what happens is you're taking away your sleep time. And so we kind of just divvied up the work, and and that's all that was. But when we saw that we were playing Fisk, man, I mean, Cam is just a amazing player. She's an amazing person too. Little insider, man. She's a great kid. But she's tough in there, man. I mean, she's had games she scored 60. She went on a tear where she scored 39, 36, and 60 in consecutive games. And so we have to pay attention to that. And so we just, try to make sure that we try to find some things that we can exploit, but also try to minimize some of their strengths. And the girls just did a good job today. And so I'm super proud of them of that, for paying attention to the detail of the game.
All right. Last question before I turn it over to Bryan. 24-hour rule is in effect. You know this as well as I do. You got 24 hours to celebrate this, but the job is not done. What do you need to do outside of hoping that you not get shafted on the seed this year like you have in the past to make that run in the national tournament?
Well, I think a lot of the work personnel wise was done this summer, like I was alluding to on the earlier question. We really enjoy winning the GCAC championships, and that is a part of our bigger goal, which is to win a national championship. And so we kind of looked at our team and tried to figure out what the things that we needed, and we just adjusted to that and got some shot making and some playmaking for when we go to nationals. We can have those things in our arsenal, because sometimes when you're playing against top-notch coaches across the country, they know all your sets. And sometimes it just comes down to the players, and I would use Caitlin Clark as an example. There's no defensive scheme to stop somebody coming off a ball screen and shooting it from 30 feet. You just got a good player, and so we try to create our own little version of that as a collective, and try to have some people that can make some plays when plays break down, and kind of just freestyle and read and react. And so we're excited to see how well we've actually done over the year to get that done.
Go ahead, Bryan.
Coach, I know in the past we've talked with you about the challenges of scheduling and getting the kind of teams that kind of help. 28 wins, or maybe it's 30 again. Like I said, I may be shorting you a couple of wins based on the information I have. But talk a little bit about how this schedule in this season has prepared this team for the next challenge ahead, which is playing in the national tournament next week?
Well, I think we play different styles. I try to mix up the styles. I mean, the GCAC itself was kind of unique. Like you have like a Philander Smith who's very talented at the guard spot, at the 1 and the 2, and then you play a team like Fisk who's the exact opposite. They're super talented inside, and then you have teams like Dillard and that are really really sound defensively and things like that, make you run your sets. And so the GCAC kind of prepared us for that. But also you have some teams that we play like a Faulkner who have, that kind of spread you out. They don't have a quote unquote true post, and it kind of spread you out and shoot a bunch of threes. You got to adjust to that. And so we played some teams at the show in Kingsport, Tennessee, that are kind of the same makeup of the general NAIA national tournament team, where they have a bunch of shooters and a couple of playmakers at the 1 and the 5 spot. And so it just helps us prepare for that and understanding, like, if you don't close out correctly, they're going to make you pay. If you don't pay attention to the small details on these ball screens, they're going to make you pay. And so hopefully we can continue to do things like that, and that'll help us. And so now we have those tools in our toolbox from non-conference. We're going to try to cash in on those next week when we go to nationals.
Also, I want to give you an opportunity to, recognize. Now, I haven't seen all of the post tournament awards and things of that nature. So I want to give you an opportunity to just recognize some of your top players and shout them out and just what they have meant to this team's success this year.
Oh yeah, no doubt. So Naya McGuire, she's one of those kids that's been with me for 3 years for all 3 of the tournament championships. She kind of grown in her role from playing behind like a Katie Blackman over the last couple of years and kind of stepping into that leadership role this year and finally got her rightful place of being a first team conference selection. So we were super proud of her for that. And then one of our newcomers, Diamond Sweats, who's just been steady all year. She's kind of like my Kawhi Leonard, Paul George type, just an elite two-way player on both ends of the floor. Led us in scoring, and she was first team all conference, first team all defense, and she was on the tournament team and the tournament MVP. And last but most definitely not least, we had Kennedy Green, who was our backup combo guard. I mean, she kind of does a little bit of everything for us, but she earned all tournament team awards for her play under pressure this tournament. And so just super happy about her, man, because she is a dynamic player, and she's making me proud.
All right. So now when is the now we're I guess we've got another week before the tournament, before the tournament selection. I believe it's next weekend if my memory serves correct. So what's the week ahead like for you and the team?
Just first of all, get back on par or get ahead with our schoolwork. That's the first thing, because I have a bunch of seniors. So they got to make sure they check in with the teachers, make sure we keep the main thing, because graduation is among us too. And that's my championship. I tell them this is their championship. Graduation is mine. So we got to make sure we keep that at the forefront. But also from an athletic standpoint, just continuing to rehab and stay healthy, keeping our shot making sharp, free throw making sharp, and just continue to polish up the DNA that we've created for ourselves and keep that thing sharp. So no matter who we play, we're ready to go.
Mm-hmm. And it just hit me. You are the last GCAC women's basketball champion. The conference will move into a new name, the HBCU Athletic Conference. And new members coming into the league. The league gets bigger. Just if you would, for a second, talk a little bit about the growth of the conference and the name change.
The growth of the conference is dope. I remember a couple of years ago, I mean, man, we were wondering if there was going to be a conference, yes, and I thought that the leaders at hand, the presidents at hand, first thing they did when they got some stability at the leadership of the helm of the conference and hired Dr. Barnes full time, which I think was a great move. And so that gave her the opportunity just to go be her. She is a superstar. in the administration realm of sports, and she's just been putting this thing together, year by year, continue to get better, achieve and exceed her goals and expectations for the conference. And so I'm just happy to be along for the ride with that, and giving us the opportunity this year to have not one but two automatic bids is just huge from where we were 2 years ago. So I just shout out to her and her team for continuing to grow the conference.
All right, Drew. Any last questions that you want to get in with Coach before we close out with him?
Nah, I think we've about covered it all. But I do, Coach. Make sure you shout out Coach Green. Tell my boy I said hello also, man.
All right, for sure. I sure will, man.
All right. Now, congratulations. Not only Black College Sports Network, but I think a lot of HBCU land is going to be behind you guys. What a coincidence. HBCU land is behind a champion that's going to be representing the soon-to-be HBCU AC.
That's right. That's right, man.
Congratulations, Coach Jackson. Again, GCAC tournament champions for the 4th consecutive year. The dynasty. It is a dynasty. And congratulations, Coach, to you, the staff, the support staff, everybody, and the players, of course, everybody who has a hand in the success. I know it's a team effort and a family effort. So congratulations again, and thanks for taking a few minutes to come join us tonight. All right.
No doubt, all the time, man. I want to thank you guys again for inviting me, but also thank you for giving us a platform and continuing to do the tireless work that you guys do for giving us a platform to speak on, man. So shout out to you guys for continuing to do that for us.
Always and anytime, Coach. Appreciate you. Have a good night. Go enjoy that championship with your girls, Coach.
No doubt, man. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Indeed.
Appreciate you, Coach.
All right. So there was Coach EJ joining us on the SportsWrap. Great way to start the show.
I did beat the original Eric Jackson, his father, during the tournament this year.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Eric Jackson Sr., yes.
That's cool. That's what's up. Appreciate you guys coming in early for checking us out. A little bit slow getting started. Shout out to HBCU Band Talk. Thank you for coming in. Hail Wildcats, of course. Appreciate you. Chuck Hunt coming in from Louisiana. Chuck, good to see you, man. Thanks for always checking in with us. Edwin Moore checking in from the DFW. Good to see you, Edwin. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Jeff Roberts, Aggie Pride. A tough one today for the Lady Aggies, but they will. I was rooting for them, hoping they would be an interesting ball game they had today. Number 1 versus 2 in the CAA. They ended up losing, I think, by maybe 12 or 14 points, but it really wasn't it was just one of those games, Drew, where you have 4 quarters and you're losing each quarter by 2 to 3 points. And at the end of 4 quarters, you do the math. Lose 3 in every quarter, and it adds up to 12.
That's 12 right there.
That's 12.
Especially the 4th quarter when you're in the game, but you have to start fouling. They make their free throws. You come down, you get an empty possession, or you miss on the other end. And that's how a 5-point game can go to 14 real fast.
Yeah, real fast. So good. We'll see. I'm still rooting for the Lady Aggies. They'll probably, I don't think it'll matter the 2 or 3 seed. They're kind of tied with Monmouth right now. That's going to be a fight to get to the championship and see if anybody can knock off Stony Brook, who's the 1 seed.
It's just gonna be who in the white versus who in the dark.
That's it. That's all. That's all.
The 2-3 seed. Hey, exactly. Update with 9 minutes remaining in the first half on the men's side. Philander 25, Dillard 11.
All right. And of course, Dillard on the men's side knocked off the 1 seed was it Tougaloo? In the opening, was it on the first round, right? First opening in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Opening round.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
and that was after playing the extra game, because they had to play in the 8-9 game. So Dillard's in the championship as a number 9 seed, and Philander Smith knocked off where they were the number 2 seed, and they beat the number 3 seed Talladega yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Appreciate you, Jimmy Mack and Mary 305 for joining us. Chuck Hunt dropping a little history. Says Dr. Kiki Baker Barnes is from Minden, Louisiana. Quite the basketball player in high school and college. Chuck said he watched her play in high school in the early 90s. That's something right there. Yes, I remember Dr. Barnes. I remember she was wasn't she an assistant coach at Dillard as well when we first met her? She was AD / a coach at Dillard, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know if she was still coaching, but I know she was athletic director. But I know she had coached at Dillard
Right.
prior to her becoming athletic director.
Exactly. Good to see you, Tamara T. Thanks for checking in. Hello to you. Blue Jacket for Life said, no more Caitlin Clark talk. Oh, come on. Hey, now that Caitlin Clark is going to my Indiana Fever with the #1 pick, you're going to get a lot of Caitlin Clark talk. Boston and Clark, the new 1-2 combo in the WNBA. You know, my excitement for the WNBA has never been higher, Drew. Never. And I mean that with capital letters, never. Let's see. Okay, so Edwin asked, what's the deal with the name change? So you'll kind of hear a little bit about the name change in our conversation with, or not our conversation, but Drew's conversation with Dr. Kiki Baker Barnes. But essentially, the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference is moving to a new title in the 2024-25 year. They will be known as the HBCU Athletic Conference, as they will bring in, I believe it's 3 new members.
That would be correct. And during the break, Brian, you may want to pull up the logo so everybody can see the new logo. I don't know if you have that.
No, but I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, I know it's on. I know they tweeted it out, and they did a nice little 1-minute promo also announcing it.
Yeah,
on their Twitter page.
Maybe.
So I don't know if you have access to that also.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find that. Appreciate you checking in, Dr. Cavill checking in. Appreciate you. Yeah, well, I'll see if I can find it. You know, it's funny. It's one of those things that you kind of talk about, you know, the change. We were talking a little bit about the history. I don't know. Did you and Dr. Barnes get into the history? Because I think you and I were talking about that offline.
Slightly. We did slightly get into the history of the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference, founded in 1981. And, you know, I kind of saved that right before we get into the interview, because going into the part 2 of the interview, once I talk about the history, some of the things we talked about in the interview will make sense to our listeners and viewers today.
And yes, Blue Jacket for Life, those 3 schools that are coming into the conference are Stillman, who was the host this year, Stillman College, Voorhees, and Wilberforce. So the GCAC really is, you know, you look at it, they're moving all the way from as far north as Ohio, Wilberforce, Ohio, to as far south as the Virgin Islands. So really, it's no longer the Gulf Coast League that it was once founded, you know, as. So I think it kind of fits, you know, and I think with the number of schools, that makes for a great opportunity, and it gives the schools an opportunity to really grow and brand themselves together. And
one thing I do want to bring up about the history, Brian, and I can kind of bring this in now. Everybody, if you know it, the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference was not started as an HBCU conference. And to me, it kind of shows what can be done when they leave us. They being the non-HBCUs, the historically white colleges and universities that were in the conference, and basically left us to dry, left us out there to die. And look what we've become.
Yeah,
I'll dive into it a little bit deeper later.
Edwin asked, I'm assuming if he's asking is the SWAC? I'm assuming this is about the SWAC. Edwin asked, "Are we still the Southwestern?" Don't you go there, Edwin. Don't you do that. Don't you? Hey, look, I will say this: is the Big Ten still 10 teams?
Is the ACC still on the Atlantic
Conference? Right.
Exactly. Wait, is the Big East even big?
Right. The Big 12 is now 16, 15 teams. It's a name at this point. And so you
the
just
only one whose name still makes sense is the SEC.
Yeah, exactly. They've chewed up everybody
in the big
South.
Boys.
Yeah, Southeastern Conference, and they kind of own that. So yeah, they've kind of done a job with that. So Drew, did we want to go out of the break to your interview with Dr. Barnes, or touch on a few other things? How are we doing this? I know we have this in 2 parts.
Let's
because we got plenty of other basketball related stuff that we can get to out of the break.
Let's take a break, and then let's talk about some of the other conference champions before we get into the interview.
Sounds like a perfect plan if I've ever heard it. And so with that said, we'll take a short break. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU Sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and A.D. here. I am here. Drew is traveling, so we've got him. Okay, so while we're talking about the GCAC, Gulf Coast Athletic Conference, who just finished up are finishing up their championships. Of course, we just talked to Coach Eric Jackson of Rust College. Rust winning the women's title for the 4th consecutive year. Great to have him on in the first segment. Drew also got a chance to get some alone time with the commissioner, Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes, and I think we got this broken up into 2 parts. Drew, anything you want to mention before I roll tape on part 1 here of your interview?
Just the fact that this was recorded on Friday during the quarterfinals round. And in this first part, we're just kind of talking about the conference in general and the tournament in general. So just wanted to make sure everybody know. Part two is when we get into talking about the name change and a few other things. So just pay attention. Hopefully this will spark some conversation and some questions. Put the questions in the chat, and I'll see if I can answer, or if Bryan can answer some of those questions that you may get from the conversation that I had with Dr. Barnes.
All right, here's Dr. Barnes with A.D. Drew here in part one of our two-part interview right here on the Black College Sports Network.
Black College Sports Network, A.D. Drew here, along with the, do I still say GCAC? Well, until this summer, we're going to say the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference Commission, Dr. Kiki Barnes. If you haven't heard, we're going to get to that in just a moment. How you doing, Doc?
I'm doing good. So happy to have you here in our championship.
Well, I missed last year due to other obligations, but I'm back enjoying my HBCU culture, my HBCU teams, bumped into a lot of faces. Your face was actually one of the first faces that I saw when I walked in today. Yeah. And I've been catching up with so many friends and former colleagues and since I've been here. So great job bringing this here to Tuscaloosa somewhere where I can easily ride.
Okay.
But just quickly, talk about how we wind up here in Tuscaloosa.
So we've been, for the past couple of years, I took over full-time in June 1, 2022. We have been working strategically to figure out the best way to monetize championships. It's the asset that the conference owns. And had the opportunity to connect with a gentleman by the name of Don Staley. Don happened to be a former Tuscaloosa native. He was over the sports tourism group for a while. So Don has been working with us for the last year and a half, helping us to connect with different cities who are looking to bring events there. And so through our RFP process that we put in place for bidding for championships, Tuscaloosa and Stillman wound up putting together a bid for us to bring the championship here. And we had a couple others, but Tuscaloosa won out in terms of their bid, and that's how we got here. And I think it's even more exciting that we get to be at Stillman, knowing that they're going to be joining us July 1 starting next year. So it's been really great. Tuscaloosa has a great community. We know they love their football, but they have been very, very supportive here. It's been amazing.
So probably the first time in a while since I've been following the conference that we're actually on a neutral court. Nobody actually has home court advantage. Yep. So what has been the feeling that you've gotten from the response that you've gotten from some of the student athletes and the coaches about just their experience here thus far?
So far, I got a lot of good feedback. People are happy. They really enjoyed the city. They're enjoying Stillman. Of course, this is everybody's first time at the Stillman campus on this court. But we've gotten a lot of positive response. And I believe the Stillman team is excited to have us here too. So they seem to be feel good about this relationship and what has happened. So good feedback so far.
Excellent. Speaking of feedback and exciting things, one thing that most conferences are doing right now, called the conference term, we brought in new members this year. You got new members coming in next year, and you don't have to say it unless you want to break it right here on the Black College Sports Network. But when it comes to expansion, what are some of the future plans and strategic growth plans that you have?
Yeah, so our strategic number is 16. That's what we're trying to get to. And I talked a little bit about this during the press conference. That was one of the strategic priorities in terms of expansion. So bringing in the 3 new members, Stillman, Wilberforce, and Voorhees takes us to 13 starting July 1. 13 is the largest, the GCAC, about to be HBCU Athletic Conference. So it'll be the largest membership that the GCAC has ever had. We've never had more than 10 members. So to get to 13 is history making for the league. So we're really excited about that. You know, we've got a list. I ain't gonna talk about my names on my list, but we got a list.
And I'm not gonna ask you to.
Look, we got a list, and we'll continue our recruitment activities. I'll tell you, I started out as a basketball coach, and I was a recruitment coordinator. So I can recruit. I know how this process. It takes time, you know, so you gotta develop a relationship. Anyway, you gotta find the synergies, and so I'm hoping that of our list, we'll get 3 of those schools to decide to commit, and after we get to that 16, you know, we're gonna have to cap it, and we'll just focus on those members. But it feels really good to be in the position that we are right now. We're really excited about the potential of the league.
And also, you've seen it at the big boy level. One of the things is not only getting those new members in, but keeping the ones you already have. Keeping them happy and keep them from looking elsewhere. And thus far, since taking over, and once you stabilize everything, you've done a good job. You haven't lost anything outside that initial wave when you first took over. And those people already probably had their decisions made before you took over. So what are you doing to make sure that you stabilize the 10 current members that you have right now?
I'll say it's a lot of communication. So the one thing I personally pride myself on is I don't make decisions in silos. So every step that we've taken has been a majority vote, if per se, meaning that if I have an idea or I'm thinking about something, then it's, hey y'all, here's my thoughts, and I will put plans in front of my council athletic directors. I talk to the coaches. I talk to everybody. I talk to admissions counselors, alumni people, development people, chief financial officers, operating officers. I have talked to everybody on all of my campuses about this vision of what we can do, and tell me, how do you see this fitting? Are you in support of this vision? Would you be willing to do some work to make this vision happen? So the things that people are seeing happen for the conference are a collaborative of people supporting a vision, not me deciding what we want to do and then coming back and saying I need your support. But the conversation happens the whole way, and we tweak it until we get something that we feel like, okay, I think we can move with this, let's go forward. So we had our HBCU admissions fair last year. This is our 3rd one. We did one last year with our track championship, and then we had one in the fall with volleyball. So I had a meeting of the admissions councils of the conference and said, can you all tell me what would work best for you? Based on your calendars and what you have going on. Do you believe this makes sense? Again, the idea is the idea, but if it doesn't work for them, then why would we do it? And they said to me, basketball. We believe basketball would be good for us. It's inside, and it's in the middle of whatever in terms of their recruitment cycle. So they committed to basketball. So we had 11 of our 13 members present yesterday.
That's 10 current plus
10 plus
one of your new.
Because we wanted our new members to get that benefit because assisting our schools in the areas that we know that are important, enrollment. That's how we make money. That's how the schools stay open. If they don't have students, they can't stay open. So it behooves the conference to figure out how we can mobilize and utilize our events, our championships, to help build our brands of our institutions. It's not just enough to come here and just, we just had a game and we have great athletic programs. Our academic institutions are storied institutions. A Fisk University, a Dillon University, like the top of the top, the creme de la creme in terms of academics. So it's not like when you bring our institutions to your city, you're learning a lot. Like you're getting historical institutions who have done amazing work and put amazing people in the world. And so how do we start telling that story around athletics? How do we utilize athletics to be the amplifier? I was a cheerleader. You know, when we wanted people to really hear us, we used to have a megaphone. And then I get in that megaphone and my voice would then be 10 times as loud. Well, that's what I see our conference championship as. It's a megaphone to make our institutional brands be more prominent. So bringing on an HBCU admissions fair gives me an opportunity to get on the media and say, oh, by the way, hey, we want you to come support the game, but guess what? You can come learn more about our institutions. I mean, and you can't, I mean, and when you talk about us having limited resources, this is how we share resources and we build. Even though we're competitors, we're also one unit, and we have to work together.
We're strong as the weakest.
We all strong, yeah. And when you have situations where you can see there are legislators who are looking to
All right. Not quite sure what happened there to our audio there with Dr. Barnes there. AD, any thoughts there on what might have happened there to that part? Drew, hello.
Can you hear me, Brian?
Yeah, I got you. Not sure what happened there to that part. A few technical difficulties with that part of the video. Let me see if I can punch it back in and see if it picks up where it was. Nope, we seem to be having some technical difficulties there. Edwin, no, I don't know if AD driving is the issue.
It's not
This one,
coming. It's not coming from me. Brian has a stable internet. I'm the
I
one
don't.
who's going
Well,
off of
look,
5G.
I'm supposed to have stable internet. Who knows what the hell's going on? Yeah. Yeah, it was sounding like a great interview indeed. I don't know what happened here.
But basically, she was just kind of, if I recall, because I kind of lost part of it also right when I hit a dead spot. I thought it was just me hitting a dead spot. But,
yeah.
Just kind of going into her philosophy on how she manages things from the conference office. And that was right at the end. We only lost maybe the 30 seconds of the video of the interview anyway, right there, Brian.
Yeah. I don't really know what happened there. We'll do our best to put we'll broadcast the full version of the interview, and make it available in one nice package. I don't know. We'll try part 2
A little bit
coming up.
later.
Yeah, a little bit later because I know we have that available, and so
Yeah.
we'll kind of see if we can get that added in there
But
as
based
well.
on what you've heard thus far, Brian, questions or comments that you may have before we go into the chat room.
No, I don't have any questions per se. I think I think you've kind of hit all of the major points here. I'm sorry. I'm here trying to. You asked me that question right as I'm trying to load up the next thing. Let me go to the chats here. I was starring you guys who were in the chats. You guys had some comments. Oh, damn you, Edwin Moore. Edwin Moore says Brian has Colts internet. It's not stable. The hell with you. The hell with you, Edwin. All right. Leave my Colts alone in this off season. Let's see. I don't see necessarily any questions. Just a few comments from people in there. Edwin Moore, love Dr. Barnes' passion. Blue Jacket for life. Just commenting on her doing Dr. Barnes doing some big things and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
let's see.
I was gonna say one thing that I was kind of interested in, and she hit on it, is the expansion portion, Brian.
Yeah. So she did make mention of the fact that the goal is 16. One of the things that I don't know, is that possible? Is that possible? Are there? Okay, let's do the mathematically, right? Are there 16 teams? And now that you've called yourself the HBCUAC, are there 16 schools out there that would fit into this conference?
Yeah. Well, I can think of 5 just off the top of my head who are NAIA institutions that would fit in already.
Okay.
And that would be the 4 Texas schools. 5, excuse me. There are 6 teams. The 5 Texas schools, with the 4 Texas schools, Xavier, and then you got the school that's kind of the outlier, but once you bring Wilberforce in, they're not as much of an outlier anymore. That would be Harris Stowe in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
So those would be the first ones that come to mind that I think about it.
Edwin asked, did she get into why 16 was their magic number?
16 is a good round number for a conference. That's just a no-brainer right there. You can go 218 divisions or something along those lines. Hopefully save on your travel costs. So 16 just is a perfect number. 13 is such an odd number. 12 is a good number.
And now, and that, if we're just talking here, they're going to be 13 next year, but they very well could drop to 12 based on some of the rumors and some of the things we're hearing out there, right?
Well, it's no secret. Talladega tried to go Division II this year.
Mm-hmm.
The application was denied. So the big question is going to be, when is Talladega going to reapply to Division II? Or with the change in president at Talladega, will they be happy being an NAIA institution? Mm-hmm. So that's number one. One other school out there that makes sense, especially geographically, the fact that you're going into Ohio, Simmons in Kentucky.
Who
is another one? Simmons, Kentucky.
See, that's what I love, Drew. I mean, the fact that these schools that I had no clue. I'm like, who? Simmons from Kentucky? Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Another one has gone from a 2-year institution to a 4-year institution. Arkansas Baptist.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
So we're up to what, 7? That's 8 right there, Brian. That we've named. And one last one, since you're already in South Carolina. 4.9 miles. The GPS was going off. And since you're already in South Carolina, why not Clinton? And Clinton becomes goes with a full 4-year program.
Blue Jacket for Life asked again, why was Talladega denied into the Division II? And now he also said, what's the benefit of going D2? And I think Talladega used to be a part of the SIAC, correct?
Talladega was a founding member of the SIAC, if I if I go back into my way back machine. But everybody keep in mind, the SIAC was a member of the NAIA at one point in time.
Correct.
So when the NCAA did not want any of us, but so was the SWAC, a member of the NAIA. So everybody keep that in mind when we talk about these conferences. It's no secret Talladega has been exploring adding football. And right now, there are only 2 NAIA institutions that are HBCUs that play football. That being Langston and Florida Memorial. So if Talladega wants to stay with its HBCU identity in football, assume that they add football, then Division II would be the way to go. Also, in Alabama, where Talladega is, there's really not a football conference. They would have to do a lot of traveling, probably even more traveling than they would have to do in the SIAC, should they add football.
Right. Okay. Well, let's do this. Let's take a break and come back, and let's
talk about some of these other champions.
Yeah, let's talk about these other champions. Coming up a little bit later, we're going to try to play part 2 of Drew's interview with Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes, and hopefully it will play through. I have no idea why part 1 won't come through, but it looks like it's a wash for some reason, Drew. I may have to reload it. But anyway, what we'll do is we'll put it all together and finalize it, and after the show, we'll drop the link out there as its own entity, so that way, you can consume it all in one spot. And appreciate Dr. Gaville for jumping in with a little background on why Talladega was denied. I'll pull that up for those of you who aren't in the YouTube chat coming up right after this break. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
I have in me the ability to make you a better you. So if you work hard, focus, stay on point, you can do anything. Trust me.
We made this track to tell everybody they can follow their dreams.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are black beyond measure.
Remember the revival? Relive the remix. Reunite for the Orange Blossom Classic. HBCU Reunion Experience. It's year 3, baby, and we back with that fire. Calling all HBCU fans. Labor Day weekend. The I Love Jackson State University takes on the venomous Florida A&M University. Tickets are on sale now. Watch the game in premium style seating or watch it from a luxury suite. And of course, you know the halftime show is going to be epic right here in the 305. The sonic boom of the South and the illustrious.
We're back. It's time for the 2024 Urban NerdCon. Join us in Atlanta, Georgia, April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel. Special guests include the Sci-Fi Sisters, Underworld creator Kevin Grievous, from Nickelodeon, Giovanni Samuels, the Science Machine Michael Green, from Spaceballs and Star Trek Voyager Tim Russ, and from the Fairly Odd Parents Gary L. Gray.
What up, y'all? It's Gary Gray. Check it out. I need you to do something for me. Join me April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia for Urban NerdCon. It's going to be lit. Okay. Our heroes, our villains, everyone's con. See y'all there.
Visit theurbannerdcon.net to get your buy one, get one free badges before the price increases. Remember, our heroes, our villains, our stories, everyone's con. See you there.
All right, welcome back to the welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and A.D here. Want
We're
to
not gonna talk
encourage
about
you
that
guys.
ad block, Brian.
See, you like doing that. I wasn't going to mention it, damn it, but you had to throw that in there. No, I wasn't going to mention it. I was going to hope it just glossed over everybody who might have been watching it, but there you go. Thank you, Drew. Being you. You're the guy that would comment on a fart in an elevator instead of just letting everybody just sit there and deal with it and wonder who farted. Drew would be like, "Who farted?" and shit.
Nah,
Damn it, man.
I'm the type of person. Hey, somebody need to go watch that. You know what?
Yeah. Thank you, man. But anyway, want to encourage you guys, if you're watching us, however you're watching us on YouTube or on Facebook. Obviously, you could be watching us on any number of places. Appreciate you watching us on our YouTube channel. That's MyJBN Online, the Jericho Broadcast Network's YouTube page. Or you could be on our BCSN SportsWrap YouTube page. Also watching us on Facebook via the Black College Sports Network or the BCSN SportsWrap Facebook page. Appreciate you guys there. Those of you watching on Instagram Live via the Black College Sports Network, say hello to you. And, of course, on Twitter, everyone watching us on X, we say hello and thanks for tuning in and watching the show. Hit the thumbs up and the like button wherever you are, please. Do us that favor. Thank you very much. Dr. Cavill doing a little bit of teaching in the chat room. Appreciate him checking in. So he answered the question regarding Talladega, and I'll put that up here. Doc says Talladega was denied NCAA membership due to the expansion number of sports and the way the reviews the management of said sports. So that was sort of the review of Talladega. When we were talking earlier, Drew, about GCAC teams and opportunities, Doc had mentioned earlier that Florida Memorial as a travel partner with University of Virgin Islands would be a good fit, which then, and then for those of you who aren't familiar with what the term travel partner is, and D-Lob 2010, that's all, no question is a bad question. Asking, so does travel partner mean schools ride with their pair school? I was always curious about it. So let's answer the travel question, travel partner question. I think we can do this well right now with Florida and Louisiana, Drew, in the Southwestern Athletics Conference, as the two Florida schools are playing the two Louisiana schools. You want to break that down?
Yeah. All right. In the Southwestern Athletic Conference, Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman are considered travel partners. When they are on the road, they go on a Saturday, Monday. They will go. One team will go on Saturday and play opponent A, while the other one on Saturday plays opponent B. Then on Monday, they flip-flop. So FAMU plays B on Monday, where Bethune plays A. In this case, you said Louisiana, which is Southern and Grambling.
Correct.
So if Florida A&M is playing Southern, Bethune is playing Grambling. Then 2 days later, Florida A&M is playing Grambling and Bethune is playing Southern. I hope I said those right. Didn't say the same teams twice.
No, you did. And actually, it was the reverse.
Okay.
On Saturday, Florida A&M was at Grambling, and Bethune was at Southern on Saturday. Right. So tomorrow, on Monday, it'll be the opposite, where FAMU travels down to Baton Rouge, and Bethune-Cookman travels up to
Grambling.
Grambling. So essentially, what it puts
And
is
Grambling and Southern are also travel partners. That's why one set of travel partners will go and play another set of travel partners, and flip flop.
right, and it's a common theme. Of course, you have the two Alabama schools that are travel partners. I believe the two Texas schools are travel
Yes,
partners, and that
Jackson
leaves
and Alcorn and
and
Valley and
UAPB Valley.
UAPB.
Right. So, and usually, because there's 6 schools divided up, how you get to basically what it means is instead of I mean, cross country, instead of
Hey Brian, I don't know if it's me because I'm on the road or if it's your microphone, but you just faded in and out on me real
okay.
bad.
Well, I'm going to say it's you because you're on the road. But I mean, you guys on the
I
chat
hear
room,
you clear now.
yeah, you guys on the chat room could dispute that if you like. But what I was saying is, FAMU, instead of saving, it's a cost saving measure for FAMU to stay in Louisiana for 4 days, in the Louisiana area for 4 days, the state of Louisiana rather, than it would be to
Do 2 separate trips.
to make a trip, for example, to Grambling on Saturday, and then say, I don't know, Houston on Monday. You know, yeah. So, yeah. Hopefully, appreciate you, Jimmy Mack. Jimmy Mack said it was me, so you're off the hook there, Drew. So, and so essentially, with if the GCAC were to move to a if they were to move to a larger league of 12 teams, then or maybe even 14 teams, you can create travel partner situations like that. Yeah. Edwin Moore says hopefully Xavier will come back to the GCAC, and the other two come from Philander Smith, Houston Tillotson, Jarvis Christian, Texas College, and Paul Quinn. Well, Philander's already in the GCAC. So
yeah, Philander's already in.
Yeah, Houston,
Jarvis, Paul Quinn.
Speed trap reported ahead.
Yeah, watch out for that speed trap. Yeah, Drew got to make sure to slow down now as he got a speed trap. But yeah, Houston Tillotson, Jarvis Christian, Texas College, and Paul Quinn are all part of the Red River, I believe, Red River Athletic Conference.
Now, the thing with Florida Memorial, it does make sense what Dr. Cavill said, assuming Florida Memorial wants to remain and compete at the NAIA level, because there have been rumors of Florida Memorial looking to get into the SIAC.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about some other champions, because we told you last week there were some good tournaments going on primarily in the NAIA, but the one Division II tournament that was happening this past week was the CIAA in Baltimore.
The granddaddy of them all.
The granddaddy of them all. And Walter Harley says Baltimore was on fire with the CIAA this week. Great games. So I'm going to take his word on it. One of our spotlight games that we were watching didn't even come to fruition because it turned out to be an upset of Bluefield State upsetting Winston-Salem State. But, you listen to enough people who are regulars of the CIAA, Drew. Every time I talk about upsets, they're like, yeah, not really. Nobody, nothing shocks anybody anymore, which I struggle to believe that, but I don't know. Maybe it just is what it is, right? It just happens. But anyway.
So Brian, in 2 tournaments that we've talked about, that team that had to play that extra game got on the run. Dillon has gotten on the run and gotten to the championship game of the GCAC, and Bluefield upset the team who we thought would upset people later on, and they had to play the extra game.
Right. Well, the one thing that was a solid thing in the CIAA on the women's side, it was Fayetteville State, as they defeated Elizabeth City State 64-59. It's the 5th conference title for the FSU, that's Fayetteville State University Broncos, and the first since 2020. Anila Bryant, who was named the CIAA All-Tournament Team and the Food Lion Tournament MVP. Joining her on that team was Nia Wilkins, and the actual Food Lion Championship game MVP, Kiana McLaughlin. Kiana McLaughlin had 17 points in the championship game. Bryant and Wilkins both had 12, alongside Talia Trotter. She had 12 as well. The Broncos are 3rd in the Atlantic region. And so when the Division II playoffs start, I would think Fayetteville State, Drew, with a 27-2 overall record, should get a pretty good seed, wouldn't you think?
Usually they go by those numbers that you see on the final ranking. So now, if seeds 1 or 2 lose, rankings 1 or 2 lose, they may go up to number 2. But rarely do you see a team drop if they win.
Okay. The Broncos held the Vikings to only 27% shooting from the field. Fayetteville State's defense forced 17 turnovers. They cleaned up on the offensive glass, collecting 11 offensive boards in the game. So congratulations to Fayetteville State. It does seem hard for the 1 seed to win. That'd be a great study or a great review. Anybody know this information, feel free to add it in the chat. How many 1 seeds actually get the job done? It seems like the 2s, I don't know, it just seems like it's so hard. It seems like the 3s and the 2 seeds usually come out on top sometimes. But, it just is what it is. So congratulations to Fayetteville State. And then on the men's side, if you were listening to Wednesday's O&G Strike Zone, we had on Gerald Huggins, who, of course, draft HBCUplayers.com, but he also serves as the SID for Lincoln. He kind of handicapped it, Drew, and said that Lincoln had what it took to get it done this year, and by God, they got it done. 54-51, prevented the Fayetteville State sweep.
Was that home school bias by Gerald?
I don't know. Lincoln obviously 17-13 overall record, 10-7. I don't know what their seeding was going into.
I think they were a 5, if I remember right, a 4 or a 5.
Okay. I did see somewhere that it was the first time since 1948. I'm trying to find it. 48.
1948. I'm gonna put that in perspective, Brian. My mother was born in 1949.
Yikes! All right, Drew, you said a lot there. Lincoln was acknowledged as a champion in the official list of CIAA winners in 1915 with Howard and Hampton before the CIAA was officially formed. So the Lions secured their bid into the Division II playoffs. Let's see. Peter Sorbet was named the CIAA tournament MVP. He had 9 points, 4 blocks, 6 rebounds in the championship game. Shot 4 of 8 from the field, all-around performer. I got to go back. That reminds me. I got to go back because I skipped over the lead. I want to make sure to give the in the women's game, Drew. And I think it was the semifinal game where the MVP, Anila Bryant, if I recall her stat line, she was 11 of 11 from the field, 5 of 5, either 5 of 5 or 6 of 6 from the three-point arc, Drew. So she had a perfect 11 of 11 shooting game, and she was 4 of 6 at the free throw line. So the only flaw in her game was at the free throw line where, she was 4 of 6, but she scored 31 points. That was a semifinal game. That was to get to the championship. I remember that because I was sitting on my couch watching and tweeting it out, and I'm like, good God, those numbers. Whew. So, shout out. Now, what's your thoughts, Drew, on what's your thoughts on any other teams out of the CIAA getting a shot? Because I believe Fayetteville State won the regular season. For the women, they won the regular season and the tournament. And for the men, Lincoln gets in, but I'm trying to think who won the.
Nope.
You had
nobody get in. Nobody else will get in on the men's side.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Nobody else from the men. So,
nobody else will get in on the men's side.
So essentially,
Virginia State still has a shot on the women's side.
Okay. Good to know. All right. Another champion that we got to be in of from out of South Florida, Miami Gardens, the number 2 seed, Florida Memorial University Lions going up against the number 1 seed, St. Thomas University. I think it's Bobcats. From right. I mean, look, the schools are separated by about 2 or 3 miles. 2 to 3 miles of separation in Miami Gardens,
if that.
If that. But the Lions had I believe it was an 11-point. Let me see, 32-23. What's that? 9? A 9-point lead at the half, and ended up closing out the game and winning by 4. Not really sure they trailed. So, congratulations there to Florida Memorial and taking care of business. All right. Walter Harley's asking Elizabeth City State, would they have a shot at getting into the tournament and on the women's side, Drew?
Pretty much, if you were not in that top 10 or going into this tournament, your chances are none unless you win your conference tournament.
And when you say the top 10, you're referring to the region rankings.
Regional rankings, correct. And Elizabeth City was not in the top 10 of the regional rankings. That's why I say Virginia State still has a chance.
Yeah, I'm going to see how quickly I can pull up those region rankings here.
While you do that, Philander 54, Dillard 28, 15 minutes remain in the ball game.
Wow, so consecutive, you might have 2 blowouts in the championship game.
Talk about anticlimactic to close out your conference.
Yeah. Okay, so here are the men's rankings, and I'll kind of set this in the Division II world. Right now, West Virginia State in the Atlantic region are ranked 9th. Over in the...
Which means only Lincoln will get in from the CIAA because they're in that same region. They'll get in as a conference champ. They'll be an 8 seed.
Okay.
Which probably just killed West Virginia State's chance of getting in.
So you said Lincoln...
Lincoln, PA, CIAA is in that Atlantic region.
Are they in the Atlantic region? Okay.
Yes.
All right. For obviously this upcoming week is the SIC. We'll talk about that in a moment. But just so you know, going into the region rankings, Clark is ranked 7th, Benedict ranked 9th, Miles is ranked 10th. That's the region rankings. So, and again, explain, Drew, how what is it? How many teams from each region? What's the ranking numbers? How's that work again? Because it's a little different than football.
Right. Who's number 8? Just out of curious, because you said 7, 9, and 10 with SIAC teams. Who's number 8?
Number 8 is Alabama Huntsville.
Okay. This is what we need to do. We've got to hope UAH does not win their conference tournament. That's number 1. Number 2, Benedict or Miles needs to win the conference tournament and hopefully and play Clark in the championship game. That way we get 2 teams in.
Okay.
But essentially the top 8 go into the regional tournament. They do have automatic bids in basketball for each conference. I believe there are 3 conferences that make up a region. SIAC, Gulf South, and the Sun Coast, I believe it's called. Sunshine Conference. Sun something is the 3rd conference in there. So those, you get 3 automatic bids there. You'll have 5 at larges.
All right, and flipping over to Division II for the women, Fayetteville State again mentioned they're a 3 seed. Virginia State is actually an 8 seed. I don't see Elizabeth State on here, so I don't think Elizabeth State will be going back to the NCAA tournament this year.
And for Virginia State, they need to hope that no one below them handled any business. We'll handle any business next week.
Right. Well, you've got below them, you've got Edenboro at 9 and Charleston of West Virginia at 10.
Yes.
Okay.
Or anybody who's not in the top 10, like Lincoln's men were, comes out. That's what Virginia State is hoping for.
In the South, you probably are going to get one SIAC team because right now Miles is ranked 9th, Kentucky State is ranked 10th.
I thought Savannah State in there.
Savannah State is not in there unless there is another. Let me see. Nope, I'm looking in the South. They are not part of the Southeast, so they're just the South Division. Nope, no Savannah State.
Okay, so yeah, you're only going to get the conference champion based on what you just said.
Yeah. Okay.
And that loss that Miles took last week to Kentucky State really hurt them when it came to their regional rankings.
Correct. Yes. Savannah State is not ranked. Yeah, I was just sitting here looking at the women's rankings. They are not ranked, not even receiving votes. So Savannah State is going to have to win the tournament in their backyard if they want to get into the NCAA tournament. All right. Let's see. Let me point out a couple of things here from this weekend in terms of tournaments. Xavier women, unfortunately, came up short in the championship game of the Red River Athletic Conference. They lost 66-55.
Who did they lose to?
LSU Shreveport.
Did LSU Shreveport win the regular season title?
Hold on, I'll tell you here. Based on the LSU Shreveport was the 1 seed. Xavier was the 2 seed.
So Xavier will be in the NAIA tournament based on the NAIA system.
Right. And then on the men's side, We talked about this a little bit earlier, the fact that Xavier men, who were a 3 seed going into the tournament, got knocked off in the opening round 75-65 by Southwest. So we didn't get a second round semifinal matchup between Texas College. They were the 2 seed. They knocked off Jarvis Christian in the opening round. But then Texas College in the semis lost to that same Southwest team 69-57. So Southwest ended up in the championship game against LSU Alexandria. Paul Quinn, they also lost in the opening round to said LSU Alexandria, who is the host school. So I know what are your thoughts there on Texas College, Xavier? Could either one of those two be looking at an at-large bid into the NAIA tournament?
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. It will be one, definitely not both. And if I remember correctly, Xavier was receiving more votes than Texas College, but they were at the bottom of the receiving votes list last time I looked at it.
All right. Okay. Moving on in the NAIA tournaments revolving around our HBCUs. Let's go over to the Sooner Athletic Conference. Now, obviously, the Sooner, they started with their opening round games on Thursday, the 29th, and then they're playing their semifinals and finals tomorrow, Monday and Tuesday. So the Final Fours are all being played in Fort Worth, Texas. And on the men's side, it was Langston, of course, the 1 seed, number 2 team in the country. They're
already in. They already had their dance ticket punched.
Right, 93-74 over Central Christian. They will play tomorrow, 1:00 p.m. I think that is Central Time. If I had to guess, I'd say Central.
Yes.
But Central Time. They play Wayland Baptist.
2:00 Eastern.
Who put up an amazing 109 points. They beat Science and Arts 109-108 in overtime. So I'm taking the over, Drew. With Langston, Wayland Baptist, I am taking the over. I'm looking for a Division II line. I don't think you can score enough points in this game. First team to 90. I got
over 200.
Yeah, that might be a lot. I'm gonna say if I can see something in the 170s.
180.
Yeah, 170, 180. I'm definitely taking the over. Definitely taking the over. And then on the women's side, the Langston women, they won their opening round contest. They defeated Southwestern Christian 75-53. So the women are the 2 seed. They too will play Wayland Baptist. That game is at 8 p.m. So essentially, you got the men opening up the game. There's 4 games being played on Monday in Fort Worth, Texas. I still don't know what school they're playing at. All it says is Fort Worth, Texas. So I know there's a gym in Fort Worth, Texas, not far, right next to the ballpark where we were. Remember when we did the HBCU, or was that were we in a different area? Where were we?
I wasn't there for that one in Texas.
All right. Anyway, so yeah, they play Wayland Baptist, so that's a 2-3 seed matchup. Now, again, John Brown is the 1 seed, so for the Langston Lady Lions, if they can get a win, they will advance and most likely get assuming John Brown, who I think John Brown is nationally ranked on the women's side, so they should win their contest there, which will put them in the championship game, which means whoever wins that Langston Wayland Baptist game will get in. So again, that's 8 p.m. And again, I think if you check out the Langston Lions webpage, you can find out some information there. You want to take one last break, Drew, before we get into talking about the SIC tournament upcoming, and then kind of end off the show with some Division I MEAC and SWAC talk?
And we still got part two.
We do have part two. Yes, we do have part two.
Let's go to break. Let's come back. Let's do part two, and then we'll end off with the rest of the basketball.
I like that. Sounds good. Hang in there. You're going to hear part two coming up after the break. Hopefully, fingers crossed that part two plays with no technical difficulties of A.D. Drew's interview with Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes at the GCAC conference over the weekend. So hang tight for this short little break, and we'll come back and play that interview. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap right here on the Black College Sports Network.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never, ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Brian Fulford. A.D. Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN SportsWrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN SportsWrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and A.D. here. Okay. Most of the Division II, obviously the CIAA started their tournament last week. Most of the Division IIs are doing their tournaments this week, including, of course, the SIAC tournament.
I thought we were going to the interview.
Okay, we can go to the interview. Thank you for that. So before we talk about the SIAC tournament, let's see if we can play part two of A.D. Drew's interview with Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes live from the GCAC. So fingers crossed, everybody. Let's hope this all works out. So here we go.
Speaking of conference office is going to have to get some screwdrivers and a few other things and change some signs and stuff like that. And take a look at this, y'all. You won't see this. You will not see this next year. If you haven't missed if you haven't seen the press conference, if you haven't seen the tweet, we'll attach it to this video. But tell us about it. Let me see if I can get this right. HBCUAC.
Yes,
Do I have all that? This is correct?
That's right.
Okay.
HBCUAC. We are the HBCU Athletic Conference where winners thrive.
They already have a tag. Tell us how this came about.
Well, for the past 3 years, honestly, we've been grappling with this question: who are we? And then, who do we want to be? In 2010 was when we lost 6 members that left 4 HBCUs at that time: Dillard, Xavier, Suno, and Toulouse. And we were able to recruit, Fisk, Voorhees and Edward Waters for land were the 4 schools that we brought in. No, Talladega, Fisk, Edward Waters, and Voorhees were the 4 schools that we wound up bringing in that kind of got us back to where we were to set. And it was like, okay, we're going to be able to make it that way. And we've operated as this group of HBCUs since 2010. But there wasn't what I would say just an emotional connection to our identity in the way that you see with SWAC, MEAC, CAC, CFAA. Like people are so attached to those institutions and those conference leagues. You know, you hear people, SWAC versus MEAC. I mean, you hear the conversation and watch it on Twitter and all the different social media platforms. But then there was this GCAC. And it's just flat, right? Unless someone like you all would come through and be like, hey, what about them schools? So we'd have y'all come and talk to us a little bit, but nobody was talking about our schools.
Because the GCAC was not originated as an HBCU conference. It was actually one of the first integrated conferences
It was.
in the NAIA.
Yes,
Go
it
back
was.
and look at the history, 1981.
It was. Dr. Coleman, rest in peace. My OG, that was my boy. I feel like he was part of the mentoring mind. He was the longtime athletic director at Tulu. He and Dr. Thomas Howell were the ones that did the work to make that integration possible. But, you know, when the transition happened, we were just trying to figure out, well, we're not a conference of just Gulf Coast states anymore. Initially, all of our schools were in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Well, we've had Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, we had Florida, South Carolina, now we got Alabama, but now we got Ohio and the Virgin Islands. Like, so now we're in 8 states and 1 U.S. territory. So we're clearly not Gulf Coast anymore. But if we're not Gulf Coast, then how do we want to identify what would signify to everyone, hey, that we're here too? So the first thing we started saying was, hey, we are an HBCU conference, and we're going to start saying we're the NAIA's only HBCU conference. The NCAA has 4, and then there's us. So one, we can still have some distinction because we're the only one over here, but also the connection to the other HBCU conferences because people are aware and understand, oh, HBCU conferences, a group of HBCUs. So from a standpoint, we wanted to have that connection. It was important to us that we were able to connect with our, what I would say is our heritage, right? And now claim our right as one of 5 HBCU conferences in the country.
I always had you on my list anyway.
I know you had me.
You was always on one of those.
We really weren't acknowledged as a collective. So the other piece of that was like, well, what would our name be? Like, how would that look? So we hired a company. We did an RFP. We had 3 bids. 1035 wound up winning out. It's a black-owned company. I think they've got offices in LA, Atlanta, Chicago. But their company led us through that process. They were the ones who went out on the bid, and they were amazing to work with. And we went through it's been going on for like the last 2 years. So there were conversations with the ADs, conversations with students, conversations with coaches, come back to the presidents. And so there were options that were put up, and then some were eliminated. So until we finally got down to HBCU Athletic Conference, and it was really, we had 2 names, HBCU Athletic Conference and something else. And whatever, I would say that what we ended up with in both the look, and with the way the logo looks and with the name, were both the options that the students favored. So when the presidents, you know, gave the seal of approval, because it's not like, the conference office doesn't make the decision without the members. The members have to say yes. The presidents are the one that finalized the vote. After we went through the process and said, here are the recommendations from these groups, and we put that in front of them, ultimately the presidents wound up siding with the recommendations that the students came with. So one of the things that I'm most proud of with our rebrand is that our students were involved from beginning to end, that they were a very integral part in providing feedback that helped us get to the finish line. And ultimately, it was so funny. I said, the presidents really, I'm really proud of my presidents because I feel like they got this one right. So the students could say like, man, we did that, right? We did something we can be proud of. So HBCU Athletic Conference is where we're going. It's the place where winners thrive, and nobody does it better to me than those of us who are at HBCUs. We win in life. There are tons of stories we can tell about how we win over and over and over again. From alumni who have done amazing jobs and gone on with their life, from current students, faculty, staff. There's somebody and they've been impacted by someone who was at an HBCU, and they're winning in life because of their experience at an HBCU. So when we talk about where winners thrive, we've been doing this. Now we just got to tell the story. We also want to be able to connect with others. Like we want to get in the game and play too. Like we want to get strategic partnerships that we believe will benefit our institutions. So we're excited. It's it is what it is. We in the game. We here. We the place where winners thrive because all we do is win no matter. Okay, I'm sorry. All right.
And those students who made that decision, I'm gonna tell you why your presidents made the decision and followed your lead, because they want you to be alumni. They want you to be giving alumni, and they want you to remember that you helped form this thing and feel extra proud when you send that donation in. That was part of their motivation. They're not gonna tell you that. AD gonna tell you that. So, Dr. Barnes, I'm taking. Any last thoughts that you want to get out of here, either about the tournament, about the league itself, anything that you want to get off?
I just want to say thank you to all who tuned in and who have supported us. Before we were popular, you all have always supported us. I want to thank you, Roy. Y'all.
Roy says hello to you.
Yeah, you and Roy for your support over the years. It's been amazing. And yeah, we just hope that you will support our conference and support our members. And as we continue to grow this thing, again, we hope you'll share, you'll read our content, we learn more about our schools. That's my only ask.
Well, we got you. We've always supported. And I'm trying to. Do I say go?
It's GCAC. It's still GCAC, right?
Okay, I'll sit there for like.
See, we still in GCAC. It's right there.
Okay.
Right.
We've always supported GCAC.
Yeah.
We've done media tournaments. We've done games for various schools.
Yes.
We will continue to support the GCAC for about another 3 months, and then we will start supporting the HBCU AC.
Yeah, baby.
From there on.
That's right.
So, Dr. Barnes, I would like to thank you on behalf of the staff at the Black College Sports Network. Zadie Drew, Dr. Kiki Baker Barnes, thank you. God bless. We'll be back right after these messages.
All right, Drew. As you can see, live and in person now, off the road. Good to see you, my man.
Always, man. It's always good.
Good job there with the. Good to see that second half played well. So, and again, what we'll do is we will put up the full interview on the Black College Sports Network after the show. So hopefully you guys got a good taste of what's happening. What do you think are going to be some challenges that the GCAC will have to deal with? I'm sitting here thinking, the positives, the challenges that a conference when they expand, what they will be.
Challenge number one is going to be the travel, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, geographically, they look like some of the P5 conferences as far as distance. I mean, you're going from Wilberforce, Ohio to the north, Virgin Islands to we just call them the south, Denmark, South Carolina to the east, and Texas to the south and the west. That's a lot of travel, man. My concern will be budget wise, can these schools support their travel? Especially, I mean, right now, if you want to talk about travel partners, you're talking Voorhees and UBI as travel partners.
And for people who don't know where Voorhees is, where is Voorhees?
Denmark, South Carolina, which is about maybe an hour from Orangeburg. No, it's about 30 minutes from Orangeburg. It's about an hour from Columbia.
Gotcha. Okay.
So everybody's going to have a plane ride in their budget for every season that UVI competes.
I would, I think one of the merchandising is going to be a big opportunity. I think if the GCAC can find a retailer to partner with and create a merchandising, almost similar to, was it the SWAC who did something with Dick's Sporting Goods recently?
I believe so.
Yeah, but being able to put your brand, because see, I think it's a great case study in what we support. First off, you're going to have your alumni. You're going to have your alumni, but you're also going to have to be able to really engage those communities that you are in. Because I hopefully, their television deals and partnerships that they're making, hopefully they bring in the kind of money that they're hoping it does bring in, or it's said to have be able to bring in. Hopefully that helps them from that perspective. But you've got to be able to create something else that is going to get people to watch. Because again, you don't have football. So, can you create events, whether it be, and what are the main sports we're talking?
I think they sponsor 5 sports right now: men's and women's basketball, volleyball, men's and women's basketball, volleyball, track, and maybe track on both, and baseball. And I think track is only on the men's side.
Okay. Oh, only on the men's side. Okay.
Yeah, so they're gonna have to. Matter of fact, I'm looking. I'm on the page right now. Let me see if I can tell you what sports they sponsor.
I'll tell you.
I'm sorry. Track is on both sides, men's and women.
Yeah,
they sponsor.
If you don't have,
they sponsor 8 sports.
Crazy. I can't understand how you don't have.
All right, I'm looking at it right now. Baseball, men's and women's basketball, men's and women's cross country, men's and women's track, and women's volleyball.
All right. So
and I know she's really looking at softball as being the next conference sponsor sport.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense because at the end of the day, if you've got 13 schools, you're hoping that you can get at least 8.
But you need 6 You need 6 for conference sponsorship.
Yeah, I was setting a target at 8. I think 8 is a good number. I wouldn't do anything under less than 8, but just my personal thoughts there. But again, the biggest way that a conference like the GCAC can take advantage of this market is do something, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it real bluntly. Do something that the other conferences aren't doing in the HBCU space, and that is tell stories about the student athletes and coaches. Tell the story of who these young people are. Draw us in, because unfortunately, and I'm saying this as bluntly as I can say it, a lot of times you don't know who these student athletes are in the SIAC, the CIAA, the MEAC, and SWAC. You don't know their stories for the most part. But if you focus on the GCAC and telling the stories of these student athletes. And yes, even the ones who transfer, but a lot of these student athletes have some very unique and challenging stories. If you can make a way and find a way to tell their stories, you can almost, this day and age, Drew, if you're watching, like Netflix is doing these things with these behind the scene specials, and you're learning about whether it be tennis or Formula One. You're getting these behind the scenes unique story documentary style things. I think the GCAC, if they can find a way to create these stories with their student athletes at these schools, you create and you give an opportunity for people to invest in the people. And it'll only increase the popularity of the games, because sometimes, Drew, look, it'd be nice to be able to talk about, who is Maya Buchanan, for example, of the GCAC. There's a young lady who National Player of the Week twice, 2-time Player of the Year. Who is she? And I don't, I think in some form or fashion there, if you continue to wait on the schools to do it, I think you're it'll never get done. But for the conference, if the conference wants to grow in a different way and create that revenue of people being interested in the marketing that comes with it, they got to create, and there are plenty of outlets in which you could broadcast those stories. You got a network. You got several networks out there that you could lean on to broadcast and tell these stories.
Bryan, I'm gonna say something, and I might get in trouble with some of my friends and associates in the GCAC when I say this. In order for you to get what you're talking about, and in order for it to get to that level that you're talking about, Bryan, two things have to happen. Full-time athletic directors, not athletic director / coach. Full-time sports information director, director of athletic communications, associate athletic director for marketing, whatever you want to call it. Has to be a full-time person in that spot. That's the only way you are even going to begin to get that type of stuff that you're asking about.
Well, that's why I'm asking for it to be done at the conference level. Because
the conference can say, hey, you have to have a full-time SID. The conference can't tell a president they have to have a full-time athletic director. They can only recommend. And truthfully, they can really only recommend that they have a full-time SID, but they can kind of push the issue by making sure that your school is accountable for getting this information in within X amount of time after an event and on these days and these times so that we can market it. So that puts the pressure on the presidents to find the funding to get to fill those full-time slots. That's the only way that you are going to be able to get your goal is through human capital, Bryan.
Well,
in order for these schools to be able to do human capital, they're going to have to increase their enrollment and increase their giving so that they can afford the salary and benefits that go along with just those two positions that I named.
All right.
Yeah.
Good point.
I do have one thing. You text me a question, Bryan. It's something that you thought was a misstatement by Dr. Barnes about the 2010. You want to explain your comment so I can
well,
talk about it?
I know she had mentioned that the conference had dropped to, she said, 4 teams. in 2010. And if I recall, and maybe I was getting that confused again. I'll be honest, I wasn't familiar with the GCAC at that time. I know while we were working with the GCAC, we were there back in 2019, was it?
When they had a big exodus.
And they were down to, I felt like they were down to 5, maybe 6 schools. But they went from like 8, and they lost.
They lost Xavier.
They lost Xavier.
Edward Waters.
And
Suno dropped athletics.
So then they were down to 5. And I just remember us all having the conversation about whether the conference was going to survive.
I mean, let's be real. When she took over that conference, we thought she was a dead woman walking.
But yes, we did. I mean, we were we really did. I mean, you were like, why? How is this going to happen? Because you just lost the staple. I mean, we were there and we watched the power of. I mean, losing Xavier is essentially like the only comparison.
It'd be like the SIC losing Tuskegee. That would no. I mean, but when you thought of GCAC, you thought of Xavier. Look at hell. They were rich. They were a founding member, Brian. Look at it. It's right there.
You're right. And yes, you're right. Okay, I'll put my comparison back in my pocket because that's fine.
That would be like the SWAC losing Grambling. Even though Grambling wasn't a founding member, but that's just one of those national marketed names. The BCAC losing Howard.
Yeah, but see, you're throwing scenario. I'm talking about somebody who's actually winning. I'm talking Xavier at the time winning. Okay, so see now I'm gonna pull my comparison back out of my pocket because you're pulling out names of people who I don't know if they're winning. That's like Alabama leaving the SEC. In the midst of all the winning that Alabama's doing, Alabama says, "Oh, you know what? Next year we're moving to the ACC." You're like, "What? Why would you do that?" Because less competition over there. We're gonna move over there, and we can kind of run the roost over there. Plus, we can control more of the money. With all respect, with all due respect to Grambling and Tuskegee.
I got you. But
yeah, no. Back to your point, though.
Yeah. But if you look at the timeline, look at 2010.
Drew, I mean, Doc Cavill, yes. The MEAC losing A&T. Definitely. Yes. There's a good analogy.
That was track and football at that time that they were dominating.
Yep. It is.
But if you look at at 2010, where all that yellow is, they lost not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 teams to the Southern States Athletic Conference.
Crazy.
In 2010. That is what she's talking about. Who was left? Dillard, Xavier, Suno, and Tougaloo.
Yep.
Dillard and Tougaloo, founding members. Everybody else had dipped on them.
Yep.
And let's be real when we talk about everybody who dipped.
Non-HBCUs.
That's what I was ready to say. What do these have in common?
Non-HBCUs.
They forced the GCAC almost to become an HBCU conference by all of them leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Louisiana Shreveport goes to the Red River. Thank God, Dega comes back a year later. Edward Waters and Fisk come in, kind of stabilize everything. Then you add a Philander Smith. This is now Voorhees' first venture into the GCAC. As you can see, they were members from 2013 to 2015. Russ moves up to from Division III into the NAIA ranks. Mm-hmm. And then it happened again, right what you were talking about, Brian. right when you were talking about.
Yep, you're losing teams to the Red River and then to the Southern States, to the SIAC. You lost schools to three different conferences.
Yes, in 2020.
Yeah.
But look what happened. Fisk came back home.
Mm-hmm.
Oakwood comes in.
I think that's where the start of it happened. When Fisk came back the next year, that was the start of it, I think, in a positive way. And then Suno comes back the next year. Again, Suno being shut down athletics, but then coming back and rebuilding. So all of a sudden, and this is post-pandemic, so it's like all of that's occurring, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, there's life, and there's breath, and you made the commitment with a full-time commissioner. And so hopefully the lessons of the past will create the stability in that you have Dr. Barnes there to be able to talk to these university presidents and help them realize the investments that they need to make in the areas that you mentioned. See, I was talking about doing it to do it because I think the conference can do it. But yes, there is an element where, like you just pointed out, Drew, you got to have the particular presidents invest in athletics and make them realize that we can grow and we can be just as viable as any conference. I mean, there are conferences in the Division II level and the NAIA that they're on par with anything you see from Division I programs, right? And
we got a whole conference in basketball that's on par with anything you see on the Division I program, and they just had the championship yesterday.
Yeah, so hopefully the new presidents can realize what's in front of them, and again, this day and age, television and media is going to factor and be a big part of it. And so again, another thing that the conference can do is figure a way how to better master the whole availability and accessibility of games. I mean, hell, we're all on the Division I level all over the place. It's scattered. It's it is what it is. But if you can show people that, hey, all of our games you can find in one spot, in one location, and you'll win. You'll do a great deal of winning and hopefully in some ads. All right, let's can we move over to the SIC and then get into the MEAC and SWAC here so we can maybe get out of here at a reasonable time in this episode.
Let's take this last break. I literally walked in the house and turned on the camera.
Jesus Christ. Yes, okay. We'll take one last break. This is only going to be a quick minute break, so you better go do what you got to do quickly. All right. Let's take a short break. Come back. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and A.D. here. We'll come back. Let's talk about the SIAC tournament and then some of the news and notes from the SWAC and MEAC, some interesting happenings there. So we want to make sure we spotlight that. So hang tight. We'll be back in just a moment after these words.
It's time for the 2024 Urban NerdCon. Join us in Atlanta, Georgia, April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel. Special guests include Underworld creator Kevin Grievous, Gary Gray from Fairly Odd Parents, from Nickelodeon, Giovanni Samuels, the Science Machine Michael Green, the Sci-Fi Sisters, and from Spaceballs and Star Trek Voyager, Tim Russ.
Hi, I'm Tim Russ. Join me April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia for the Urban Nerd Con. Our heroes, our villains, our stories. Everyone con. I'll see you there. Live long and prosper.
Visit theurbannerdcon.net to get your buy one, get one free badges before the price increases. Remember, our heroes, our villains, our stories. Everyone's con. See you there.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. What do you listen to there, Drew? What are you doing?
I told you I was still setting up. I had to turn the GCAC championship on my phone.
Any updates from that game?
I have one for you in 13, 12, 11.
Oh, my God. It was a blowout last time we heard, right? All Philander Smith?
And it still is. And in 3, 2, 1, Philander Smith is your 2024 GCAC champion, the last men's champion that will be crowned in the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. They defeat Dillard by a score of 85-67.
Now, is Todd Day still the head coach there at Philander?
Yes, Todd Day.
They've been
knocking on the door for a long time.
I was gonna say they've been trying to get over the hump, knock on the door, whatever little phrase you want to use. They've been there for a minute since Todd Day. So congratulations to Coach Todd Day, former Arkansas Razorback standout. Of course, those who remember him, part of the Nolan Richardson?
Yes, Nolan Richardson.
Okay. I don't know why I was thinking it was in my head, but I didn't want to get him confused with someone else. But yeah, part of the Nolan Richardson era there at Arkansas. So congrats to Philander Smith for getting it done on the men's side. Good job. Good job, fellas.
I also talked to Kenny Anderson while I was there at the GCAC. Lethal Weapon 3, Georgia Tech.
We gotta find a way to get Kenny Anderson on the show, man. I tell you, that was one of my favorite tournament runs. Was watching him, Dennis Scott, and who was the third member of that Lethal Weapon 3? God bless it. Why can't I remember the third member? Somebody in the chat room, hurry up.
It was another guard.
Who was the third member of the Lethal Weapon 3? Anderson, Scott, and Jesus, I hate that I can't remember him.
Yeah, but my Kenny Anderson story goes back before that, Brian.
Oh, so you got some high school stories?
Yes, and I when I was talking to her, I was like, you're only a year or so older than me, Kenny. And I remember when you came to St. Louis, Missouri, and played in the Kia Auditorium it was then called the 7-Up Shootout. That's where the best teams in the St. Louis area used to play some of the best teams in the nation. And he was playing for Archbishop Malloy. And you should have saw him light up. It's like, bro, I remember that. I was like, yeah, I was sitting in the stands because our team was not good enough to play that type of competition when I was playing high school ball.
Isn't it amazing how I'm in Indianapolis and I knew of that. And there wasn't any internet and things, but we learned about that through like the prep magazines and the newspaper. I don't know. We just kind of knew about those things, maybe through Jet. I'll tell you what, I think it might have been like Jet magazine or Jet had kind of told us about those classics, or Sports Illustrated magazines and newspapers like that the Indianapolis Recorder, which was the black newspaper in E&D. Those were the outlets that would connect a guy like me in Indianapolis with an event like that in St. Louis. And yes, Brian Oliver, third member of the of Lethal Weapon 3, head coach under
Bobby Crimmins.
Bobby Crimmins, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I just remember Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech was coming off those years where they went from Mark Price to Lethal Weapon 3. And boy, they were bad, man. They were a fun team to watch. That was
And didn't they get Marbury after that? Yes. They got Marbury.
Marbury went to Georgia Tech?
I believe Marbury went to Georgia Tech after Kenny Anderson.
I don't know.
But speaking of Marbury, let me tell you something, that St. Louis Classic that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Some of the players who I saw play in high school.
Oh man, I know there's some guys. Yeah.
Lonzo Mourning.
Yep.
Just mentioned Kenny Anderson, Kevin Garnett, Allen Houston, where Fonzo Ellis is from the St. Louis area. Don't let him tell you nothing else. He's from East St. Louis. He don't claim it, but he is from the East Side. Conzo Martin is from East St. Louis.
Oh man.
I'm trying to think. I said Allen Houston. Marbury was there.
And yes, Marbury did go to Georgia Tech. Thank you, Blue Jacket for Life and Eric Sanders. They did confirm. I don't know why.
Penny in high school.
Penny was with Memphis. He actually
went
Treadwell. Yeah,
I think it was Treadwell. I mean,
USA Today. That was the publication that covered high school sports on the national scene because those teams that you mentioned would always end up in the USA Today national. This was before prep school, so this was like, this was the local high school. This
is true high school.
Yeah, this wasn't any made up. This wasn't like, hey, somebody with some money made a prep school and is flying kids in from all over the country. What you got today. This was legit high schools that had star power on them, that had legit teams.
Yeah, Doug Smith. I mean, I could go on and name some of these people who came to St. Louis to play in those tournaments.
All right. Well, I'll tell you where people should be traveling to this upcoming weekend, and that's to
Savannah, Georgia.
Yes, indeed. As the SAIC tournament is taking place. Opening round actually started today, and the first game of the day started with Lane College on the men's side getting an 80-69 victory over Albany State in game number 1. Game 1 of the SIC tournament. The rest of the opening round games begin tomorrow, and the opening round all the way to the semifinals are played on the campus of Savannah State University at Tiger Arena, and then the championship will be played at the recently built Inmark Arena in Savannah, Georgia. All the games will be streamed on ESPN Plus. So very similar to what the deal that the CIAA had. And again, powerful stuff there. Let's get over to so here's the breakdown. Top 4 seeds over on the women's side. You have Savannah State, of course. They finished the season 19-5, 15-4 in conference play. They clinched the East Division 1 seed. We told you about that last week. They the number 2 seed is Fort Valley State. They finished 14-10, 12-7 in conference play. The 3 seed is Clark Atlanta. They were 14-11, 11-8 in conference play. And our Edward Waters finished as the 4 seed with a 9-17 overall record, but a 7-12 record in conference. And yes, it seems odd that a 7-12 team is the 4 seed, but they are. And so now those are the 4 seeds on the eastern side. The western side begins with Kentucky State, and they are the co-champions along with Miles on the west. But Kentucky State earned the bye, or it's not the bye, the 1 seed. Well, they get a bye too. 19-6 is their record. 15-4. They get the 1 seed in the West Division. Miles ended up with the 2 seed. They are 20-6, 15-4. The 3 seed is Lane, and again, this is the women's side. That game earlier today was a men's game. So Lane is the women's 3 seed, 13-13 record, 11-8 in conference play. Tuskegee on a bit of a losing streak there, Drew, but they dropped to the 4 seed, 14-9 record, 11-8 in conference play. Any thoughts on how that a team to watch? Who, I think the headline is, can Savannah State get it done? So we talked about teams knocking on the door, just like Philander Smith has been knocking on that door in the GCAC. Savannah State has had some good squads. I mean, 2 years ago, that squad 2 years ago was just awesome. But they lost in the championship game to Miles, I think it was, right? And so is this the year that Savannah State gets it done? Or will Miles do what they've done? How many years in a row has Miles won the SIC women title?
Well, they lost to Tuskegee last year.
Okay.
Here's the question, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Can anybody win it besides Miles or Tuskegee? That's the question you should be asking.
How long of a so what's the history on that? What are we saying is the history?
Tuskegee won it last few years. It's been Tuskegee, Benedict, and Miles. Those have been your champion on the women's side.
Okay.
Benedict won't be there this year.
No shot for Benedict this year.
No,
okay.
Benedict will not be there on the women's side.
You heard that from Drew. Drew says Benedict will not make it.
Men, maybe. Women, no.
Okay.
So can somebody get one of those other two and let those other two not be in the championship game? That's the question. Savannah, home court. I think they learned last year from losing in their first game, despite the double bye last year on their own court. So if there's a team that I want to watch, that's the team that I want to watch. It's going to be Savannah, and see if they can defend their home court in their home turf.
Right. Over on the men's side, of course, I'm going to start by saying big shout out to Sly the sports guy. Our Sly with a great game. Hopefully you guys saw on Monday the Clark and Benedict game right here on the Black College Sports Network on Monday night. An amazing contest at Benedict. Clark goes into the ball game. They haven't lost to any team in their division. They were 13-0 going into that game in the division. Of course, Clark already had the 1 seed and could have had the 1 seed wrapped up. They had the 1 seed. They could have won the championship outright by themselves in the regular season title. Had a 4-point play with I don't know how many seconds left. Maybe 7 seconds left, I'm guessing here. But a 4-point play, they're down. Let me see. They're down 2, and they had get a 4-point play, a 3-pointer, fouled on the 3, goes in, hits the extra free throw, up, I think 2 at that point. And then Malachi McCoy from Benedict on the transition. He's the trailer. The kickback behind him knocks down a 3. Actually, from I'd say well behind the men.
Steph Curry land.
It wasn't quite Steph Curry land. I got to recall there's 2 lines on that court. So I guess he did shoot from the men's 3.
Well, there's only one 3-point line in college now.
So there was a second line on the court. So I'm trying to figure out, is the second line an NBA line?
What were they playing at?
Benedict.
No, Benedict. The furthest line is the college line at Benedict.
Really? Okay. Because there was a white line. There was.
I've been at that court. That's why I'm saying that.
Right. I figured you. I figured you knew the court well. So, but yeah, he just knocks down the 3 with maybe like a second or 2 left in the ball game. So, dramatic finish there in that contest between Clark and Benedict. But because of the loss for Clark, Morehouse gets a share of the East Division crown, and that was the 3rd consecutive year that Morehouse has either won outright or shared in winning the Eastern Division. So your 1 seed is Clark, your 2 seed is Morehouse. And I don't know, why didn't I don't have for whatever reason, Drew, I don't have the rest of the 3 and 4. Do you have the rest of the 3 and 4 in front of you? Do you have the SIC pulled up?
Hey, if you give me a second, I will pull it up.
Yeah, I didn't find the bracket, so sorry guys, I don't have the bracket here listed, or I would have had it. Yeah, Clark, well, when Clark is the 1 seed, that's the, but is Morehouse is going to claim a share because they both finished with the same record. That's how that works. So
right, they don't have the bracket up anymore.
Benedict is the 3 and Allen is the 4. Thank you, Blue Jacket for Life, for being on point for us there. And then
so who's the 2?
The 2 on the East is Morehouse.
That means they would face Miles potentially in a semifinal.
Yeah.
And the 3
on the East. Well, wait a minute. Yeah, Benedict is the 3, Allen is the 4. The 5 seed is Savannah State on the men's side. And Edward Waters is the 6. Fort Valley is the 7.
So that leaves, if I remember how that bracket works, that leaves Benedict and Clark Atlanta on the same side of the bracket for a potential semifinal matchup.
Yeah, the one thing, unfortunately, that they didn't give us is I didn't get the bracket, so I don't know where the bracket is. But anyway, I'm not going to sweat it. So games tomorrow begin at noon Eastern time. Lemoyne Owen and Benedict women. Looks like you got 4 games a day on Monday and Tuesday. Those are the opening round games. Followed with, actually, you have opening round games on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then you reach the quarterfinal rounds on Thursday, March 7th. So for those top 4 seeds that we mentioned, the Savannah State women, Kentucky State women, Clark Atlanta men, Miles men, Miles women, Fort Valley women, Tuskegee men, Morehouse men. Those teams get the byes into the quarterfinals, so they don't play until Thursday and Friday. So the top 4 teams on each side don't play until Thursday and Friday. So the semifinals are on Saturday. And, of course, the championship games are on Sunday, March 10th at noon and 3 Eastern. The brackets are on the website under the tourney. I was there. I didn't see it.
It's not there anymore. They moved it.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Well,
that's because I'm on the tourney site right now.
Yeah, I'm on the Championship Central site as well. So,
yeah.
Anyway. All right. So who are we predicting, Drew? Who are you predicting to come out? What's your thoughts here? How would you handicap this? Who's the favorite? Men's side. That's tough. Yeah, exactly.
I want to say Miles Clark in the championship game because those were the two hottest teams. I'll say were because Clark took that loss, but before that one loss, Clark and Miles were the two hottest teams on the men's side. But any of those four teams could come up out of there, Brian. And it would not shock me at all. Blue Jacket for Life has Clark.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said with the dominance that Clark showed during the year. I think they.
But who was the one team they did not dominate?
Was it on the west side? It had to be on the west side.
Yeah, it was Miles.
It was Miles. Bless you. Let's see. So, let's see. Miles men. Game 17 and 15. Oh, yeah. So that's your potential championship game then.
That's why I said that.
Okay. Miles Clark, potential championship game. That'll be interesting. Yeah, I don't have. It's so tough, man, because I think the 1, 2, and 3 seeds are all tough on the Eastern Division. I mean, there's not much separating Clark, Morehouse, and
but one of them is thrown over there with Miles. The number 2 gets thrown over there with Miles.
Yeah, which
that being Morehouse.
That's being Morehouse. Yeah. I think when it gets down to it, when you really look at these, you're gonna say who has, I would rather have split with somebody than having won both games. Because I think when you've won both games, it sounds real stupid to say, but it usually sometimes holds true. It's hard to beat somebody for that 3 times, that third time. And so with that said, is that revenge spot is going to be real juicy for when you get into the quarterfinals or maybe the semis and you start saying, hey, you beat this team twice. Now you got to play them
third time on a neutral court.
For a third time on a neutral court. And we will see an upset. Somebody in that quarterfinal opening round who's been sitting around and now obviously they haven't been sitting around on campus at Savannah State, but they probably at home. But while other games have been played Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, those teams who haven't played, you're going to catch somebody who may have played 1 or 2 games, and that's where the upset usually happens in that first round. May not happen in the semis. I think everything kind of levels out by the time you get to semis. But that quarterfinal game, yeah, that's where it'll get real juicy. So, already changing, huh?
And I've seen all 4 of those teams, Brian, and having seen all 4 of those teams this year, it is you're literally splitting hairs. What style of ball do you like?
I think everything is going to come down. I mean, those are going to be anywhere from a 2 to 3 point margin on all of those games.
Right. I think the advantage is going to be those teams that have the Thursday, Saturday split.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Which are going to be your one seeds. and your 4 seeds. Because those are the ones who want to have your Thursday and Saturday split.
All right. Let's get into talking about some of the action from the Division I level. All right. Let me put up the SWAC men's standings. As you can see, the standings as they stand in the SWAC. Grambling State, the big mover. Look, you got 2 big movers, I think. One is Texas Southern. Texas Southern has moved all the way up into the 2 spot as a legit 2 seed. Now, they're a game and a half.
That's a scary thing.
That's scary because what were they last year? They were an 8 seed getting into the conference last year, right? So this year, they've actually been able to put wins together. They're currently on a 4-game winning streak. They had lost a pair of games prior to this 4-game winning streak, and had won another 4 games. So 8 of the last 10 games, Texas Southern has won. Right? Southern has gone the opposite direction, losing 3 in a row. Alcorn has won 6 in a row. We got a great matchup tomorrow night in the SWAC between Alcorn and Texas Southern. Alcorn, winners of 6 in a row, tied for 3rd best in the conference, playing the number 2 team right now, Texas Southern. It's at Texas Southern.
And Texas Southern has owned Alcorn.
Have they really? Has it been like that?
Yes.
Yeah. What's the margin?
I don't know what the streak is, but it seems like every time there's a big game between those 2, Texas Southern wins.
Okay, so I'll be looking.
Same thing against Grambling.
Wait a minute. Oh, same thing. What? Texas Southern? Same
Southern.
thing.
Yeah, Texas Southern and Grambling.
Well, look, the tournament's coming up, and yeah, I know Grambling has a chance, and I think they may have already clinched the regular season because. Let me see. How many games are left? 15. So
usually 2 to 3 games left, depending on.
Grambling has 3 games left. Texas Southern only has 2 games left. So Grambling has 3 games left. They play Bethune-Cookman. Now that right there already, you can see Bethune-Cookman, they've won 3 in a row. So that's a big game. So it's not quite in the bag for Grambling, but I think a win and a Texas Southern loss would give them the outright title for the regular season. And I think that would be the 2nd consecutive regular season title for Grambling, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Texas Southern has won the last 2 in a row. I guess, and believe it or not, Brian, I'm pleasantly surprised. Over the last 10, they're evenly split 5-5. I am really surprised at that.
Yeah. 2 other notes on the SWAC men's side. I gotta say,
wait a minute. Texas Southern is 9-3 at home all time in the last 18 against. Would it be last 12? In the last 12 against Alcorn.
Yeah, but stats like that, I don't like to go that deep because Alcorn's got a new coach. So what is the last? Let me see. Is this the 2nd or 3rd year with Landon Bussey? This is the 3rd year. So what's over the last 3 seasons? What is the record been against Alcorn?
We'll just go post-pandemic. How about that? This is making
yeah, because I think that's when Bussey came on board post-pandemic.
5-4 in favor of Texas Southern.
And at home, Texas Southern?
At home, 1. Only one of those have been at home. Everything else has been away and neutral.
Really?
And that was the first one that was at home.
That's odd.
Of that 5.
All right. And this is have they played each other this season already?
Texas Southern won 72-61. April 20th in Lorman.
Ooh, so they went on the road and got a win. Ooh, yikes. All right.
They won the last 2. They last year in Birmingham and then this year in Lorman.
Ooh-wee. Well, I don't
Matter
know.
of fact, here's where it is, Brian.
Yeah, give it to me.
Since the pandemic, Alcorn has not beaten Texas Southern in Birmingham.
Well, that's in Birmingham.
That's that neutral site.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Once you get to Birmingham, all bets are off. I mean, because at that point, you're talking. What are we talking? I mean, that's the Texas Southern Invitational right there.
Exactly.
Ken Palm has Texas Southern winning by 4 points, 73-69. Just to kind of throw that out there for those of you who are looking for something to sprinkle. So if you get a high point spread, I might be inclined to take Alcorn on the road, man. I tell you what, especially if I can get a 5 or a 6 point spread in favor, I might look at Alcorn plus 5. Yeah, that'd be interesting. But I want to give a shout out to Alabama A&M fans. 6,389 folks showed up to the event center there, which was, I think that's almost capacity.
That is capacity. That's a sellout. But Brian, that's not the number that impressed me.
I bet you're going to say it was the number for the women's game.
The 5,100 for the women's game is the number that impressed me.
Yes. Yeah. So that goes to show you got at least that many people there for the doubleheader, which is impressive. And with all respect, Alabama A&M's women are playing well right now, but they, state's women are not. But it's awesome that I agree 100% here with Israel. It is great that they got that kind of numbers for that game. And
I'm jealous.
I'm jealous. Well, it's funny. I tweeted out something to that effect to say, what would it take to get that kind of numbers in the Lawson Center in Tallahassee, because next Saturday is the final home game where Bethune-Cookman is coming in town. And that's your rival, right? Alabama State, Alabama A&M, that's rivals. So, yeah, I can get it. I get it. You have those kind of crowd. But, damn, is the apathy in Tallahassee for Florida A&M basketball that bad? And I got some great responses. I'll read them on Wednesday's show, Wednesday ONG Strike Zone. Make sure to tune in right here on the Black College Sports Network.
Here's the only problem with 5,000 to 6,000 in Lawson Center, Brian. Mm-hmm. It's still gonna look empty.
No, well, not really. I don't know. Not really, because at that point, I know it seats 9,000 to 10,000. I think they've taken about 1,000 away because they've created this VIP area, so they pushed in about 1,000 bleachers. So really, it's probably down to about an 8,000 capacity stadium. So, you still have a good crowd. If you can get 6,000 in Lawson, that's gonna be a great crowd. And yeah, you're gonna have sprinkles of empty seats, but it'll still look better than what it's been all year.
I would be happy, Brian, honestly, with Florida A&M. I know this is not a Florida A&M show, and you can say this for Wednesday, but take this over to Wednesday. I would just be happy if those bleachers, not the stadium seats, but if those bleachers get full. That would be the student section is full.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. And that's another thing I want to give credit to. I saw some clips.
I would be happy.
Alabama A&M student section. Oh man, they were into it. They were great, man. I miss seeing
I miss
Florida
Gator.
A&M students engaged with the basketball program, man. They can show up for football, but man, if they could come to the basketball games with that same kind of energy. But anyway, also got to give out shout to Mike Reed. Mike Reed last week predicted, and I think he said something to the effect of Valley was going to win something before the end of the month. Now, I thought he was talking about
24 hours later.
the men. Yes, I thought he was talking about men, but then he told me, he texted back and said, check my tweet. He said, win something. Needless to say, he didn't predict, he sort of predicted that Valley would get their first win, which they did on Monday, senior night, to avoid the 0-28 run that Grambling and Prairie View has on their records. But yeah, Valley gets their first win. I don't know what the money line number was. I know it was a lot. It had to be. But yeah,
if they even put it on the books.
It was somewhere. It was some in faraway places. Somebody could have got some nice money, but I would have never guessed that Valley would have got their win. I was, probably being petty, betting on the perfection.
And two of the teams you don't see on this list, Mariah. Valley,
yeah, because
and
this
Prairie
is
View.
this is only top 9. Yeah, this is I only show the top 9 because, as you can see with the
They're all the ones in contention.
Yeah, these are the ones with a potential. Obviously, Alabama State sits a game behind Pine Bluff and Alabama A&M for the.
And I think Alabama A&M has the tiebreak against them.
Yeah.
I think they got the series sweep. So essentially, that's 2 games behind A&M. Not sure about Pine Bluff.
Yeah, it's never a good thing, though, when you see the top 5 teams all on win streaks except for Southern. And Southern,
Southern's overachieved this year.
Right. But go back and look at Southern's last 10. 7-3.
Right.
So what that means is they were on a 7-game win streak prior to losing these last 3 games.
Who had Southern in the top 4?
I don't think anybody. I don't think anybody.
That's what I say. Southern has overachieved this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, they have. They have. I don't doubt it. Yeah. So those are the games for the SWAC. How about the while we're talking men, hold on. I think I did this based on men. On the men's side, on the MEAC, you've got the big game was Norfolk State. Their men lost last night to Delaware State, 85-71. It was Delaware State senior night. Those are always tricky. Norfolk State returns home to play Maryland Eastern Shore. The Spartans have won 11 straight games at home, Drew. And you can see Maryland Eastern Shore, a 3-9 conference team. That one, let's see. What does Ken Palm have that game at? A 13-point game, 13-point margin for Norfolk State, 73-80. So that's probably a good money. I think you could run. I know my friend Mike likes to run some money line parlays. I think you can run some nice money line parlays this upcoming day tomorrow if you sprinkle in Norfolk State and maybe a Southern and somebody else in there. But
hey, Ryan, do you see what I see?
I see a cluster at the top. Yeah, that's what's interesting about the MEAC right now.
I thought it only happened in football.
Well, here's the crazy part, okay? The MEAC ends their regular season on Thursday. Obviously, let's see, you have games on Monday, but the regular season comes to an end on Thursday. Look at this lineup for Thursday. Assuming everybody wins Monday, assuming your top.
Right, let's get the Monday lineup out the way first. Let's talk Monday.
Well, I don't know. They're put like this: the top 4 teams play the bottom 4 teams. I don't know
who
plays
gotcha.
Who, but let's just say none of the top 4 teams play each other.
All right.
Okay.
So let's assume everybody wins.
Everybody wins. Now that brings up a great Thursday lineup of the top 4 teams playing each other. You got South Carolina State at North Carolina Central, 7:30. South Carolina State won the previous meeting 71-68 at home. Always got to be worried about North Carolina Central and their final home game of the year. They're notorious for getting a win. Okay. Howard at Norfolk State, 9 p.m. I think that might even be an ESPN game playing that late. Norfolk State won the previous meeting on the road, 65-61. So remember what I told you, Norfolk State, 11-game winning streak going into Monday. It'll probably be 12 when they welcome Howard into town. Last year, Howard beat Norfolk State at home on a very controversial play at the end of the game. So
right now,
opportunities. Yeah.
Right now, we could have 3 teams tied for first place after Thursday.
Yes, you definitely could, assuming that Howard beats Norfolk State, and then whoever the winner
somebody's going to win Central South Carolina State. Yes.
Right. Now, that's assuming that nobody craps the bed on themselves on Monday against the bottom 4 teams.
Who has Delaware?
Good question. I don't know. I don't have the schedule pulled up. I could.
But that would be the one that I could see somebody crapping on themselves.
On against Delaware?
Yes.
Let me see. I can tell you real quick. I pulled it up real quick. Go right to my trusty abacus. And it's taking a long while with the spinning wheel here. So the best laid plans of schedule makers tell me that Delaware State is traveling to Howard. Delaware State is traveling to Howard. So 3 of the 4 teams, 3 of the top, let me see. Howard's at home. Norfolk State's at home. South Carolina State traveling to Coppin. North Carolina Central traveling to Morgan. Yeah. So, yeah, should be interesting. Okay. Moving over to the women's side here.
Just started number 2.
Well, I'll tell you the reason why we got to start at number 1, Drew, is for the simple fact. Let me see. I think I lost my video here. The Jackson State Tigers, Drew, a flipping dynasty. They've just won their 5th consecutive regular season title in the SWAC. Head coach Tamika Reed has created a dynasty, a monster. I found it interesting when I went and did some research. Since 1981, which on the SWAC webpage, they only go back to 81. Now, I know.
You know what, Brian?
I was going to say, I think NCAA women's
That's
basketball
NCAA took over in 81.
Right. So I know that thanks to my Caitlin Clark, Lynette Woodard, all my history there. Grambling State is the last team to win 4 consecutive regular season titles. They did that from 96 to 2000. No other team now has won 5 consecutive regular season titles. Jackson State, and they are outright. No share, nothing. Those are outright titles that Jackson State has won. The first team in SWAC history to win 5 consecutive titles. They did it beating Texas Southern by 50. That's right. 5-0. 101 to 51, Drew. Now, if that doesn't scare you at this point in the season, that you're putting up a 50 burger on somebody
in your conference.
101. Yeah. Hey, damn. That's brutal. That's brutal. Tamika Reed. Hold on. I even did more research because I'm fascinated by Tamika Reed. I mean, lovely woman. I mean, just an outstanding coach. I Kyle Mosley did a halftime interview with Coach Reed, and it just warmed my heart. I mean, such a beautiful smile, but I mean, just a hell of a coach. Okay, all no shade. I mean, just wonderful. I found that great stat there. Combined conference win percentage. Now, that graphic on the right, Drew, was before they beat Texas Southern 101-51. So, over the past 3 seasons, Jackson State is 48-1. And look at the teams that South Carolina, who's unbeaten right now, the number 1 team in the nation. You see storied programs like UConn on there. Stanford, even spelled wrong. You see, you know it's Stanford, right? Even spelled wrong. I don't know who did this graphic, but they put an extra D in Stanford. No, it's Stanford, not Stanford. Anyway, God bless them. I didn't even know South Dakota State's women were rolling like that. First off, look at South Dakota State tied for first. I didn't even know that was even going on. Princeton, Florida Gulf Coast. Those are all great programs, but Tamika Reed and what they have done over the last 3 seasons, Drew. Did you know? Now, here is some SWAC women's basketball history. Did you know? Okay. Tamika Reed winning her 5th regular season title. Have you heard of the name Shirley Walker? Does the name sound familiar, Drew? Well, for those of you who may not be familiar with Shirley Walker, while we may give our flowers to what Tamika Reed is doing, let's not forget Shirley Walker of Alcorn State has won 10 regular season titles in her time at Alcorn State. 8 of them were outright. I mean, it was a period, I think it's about a 15, maybe like a 15-year period. I didn't actually, that's the one thing I didn't look at was the time frame. But anyway, all I just kept seeing it when I looked at the all-time champ, I said, Shirley Walker, Alcorn. Oh, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, let me look. I did the counting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shirley Walker, 10 regular season titles, 8 of them outright. So that's what Tamika Reed is chasing. She's chasing Shirley Walker, but right now, Tamika Reed stands as the GOAT, as one of the greatest right now, and what she's doing at Jackson State. Yeah. So I just had to, I want people to know I respect greatness. I may give Jackson State and Jackson State fans S over time, but I respect greatness. This is greatness. She is greatness. So I much respect to Coach Reed. Much respect. All right. Again, anything stand out when you look at those standings, Drew, for the SWAC women?
Just a whole glutton of teams right there battling out. I mean,
who wants to be on the other side?
Yeah. The place you do not want to be is Southern Alabama A&M right now.
Yeah, and
that's that 4 or 5 game. That means you have them in the second round. You do not want to be Alcorn State, who's a potential first round batch.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Alabama A&M will probably have tomorrow off since they just played their travel partner, Alabama State. So that means, let me see, no, they can't, because let me see, they played 15. They got to play 18. So no, they got a game tomorrow. Yeah, because there's only 3 games left. So, but Alabama A&M has won 5 in a row. Grambling has won 7 in a row.
I think this is the week where they got those games on like either Tuesday or Thursday or something like that.
Okay.
Because they end Saturday to get ready for the tournament.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Good point.
Yeah, your regular Monday game would be on Thursday this week.
My eyes are focused at the bottom, obviously, because Florida A&M is there hanging on. I'm talking like hanging on by a thin razor. Look at the last 10 between Prairie View, Florida A&M, Alcorn, and Bethune. Look at the last 10, 4 out of 6, or 4 and 6, 4 and 6, 4 and 6, 3 and 7. Does anyone who wants to be in the final 8? I mean, we're talking 3 spots for 4 teams. And if I just tell you who has who here, I can tell you Florida A&M and Bethune both have, well, Bethune plays Grambling Monday. Florida A&M plays Southern, and then they play each other. One more reason, Drew, for a reason to pack out the Pitt in Tallahassee, as the winner of that game will go to the tournament. The loser will probably find themselves out. Just a hunch. Unless somebody beats either Southern or Grambling. And then the Prairie View Alcorn is interesting too. Go ahead, because they just played each other.
I was gonna say, Ed, if you're anybody of those that bottom group, you want to be on that 3-6 line. I would think that gives you the best pass coming out that bottom to potentially get to a championship.
Yeah. Grambling's women are pretty good. I saw somebody, Israel, said that. I watched that game against FAMU. I mean, Jesus, help me. FAMU shot like 1 of 17 from behind the arc, Drew. 1 of 17, and they were in that ball game the whole time. I mean, they out-rebounded Grambling by like 20 rebounds. 20. No lie. 20. 2-0. But they were 1 of 17 from behind the arc. Ridiculous. Brutal to watch. Pay attention to that. And then, of course, over on the MEAC women's side, Norfolk State is the standard. There were 10 consecutive wins in a row, 11-1 in conference play, 21-5 record. I think they've clinched. It looks like Howard. I mean, everything looks to be set up where Norfolk State is the 1 and 2. Howard has won 4 in a row. They've kind of found their way, and then kind of everybody else in the conference is really
up and down, or just straight down, or straight down,
or straight down. Yeah, one of the two's happening. So, that's that. And we did mention earlier, North Carolina A&T's women fell short in their game against Stony Brook, so they kind of lose out. Lillian Hempfield.
I'm glad you do, because I don't.
It's great to be hopeful, great to be optimistic. The problem
I think I'm gonna win the lottery too, Brian.
Well, it's some the Powerball numbers are awfully high right now, as well as the Mega Millions. So anything's possible. What did Kevin Garnett say? Anything is possible. But hey, look, I will say this: here's the problem. If North Carolina, let's just use this for example. If North Carolina A&T were to win the Colonial, right, because of the RPI rating or the net rating of the conference, the Colonial, North Carolina A&T could theoretically maybe end up as a 10 seed or something like that in the tournament. Whereas Jackson State, because of the rating of the SWAC, which I think is 28th, last I checked, that would put them as a 15, might get a 14 seed, because actually Jackson State's net rating is 97. It's top 100. So there is an opportunity for Jackson State to end up as a 14 seed. But I don't see any higher than a 14.
No.
And the interesting question will be is Norfolk State. If Norfolk State wins, given the fact that they have a 21-5 record, they played all Division I programs.
But will they be playing on Tuesday or Wednesday night?
You think they still end because of the? You think they still end up in the first four?
That's the question.
Yeah.
Because of the net.
Yes. Yeah. National championship. I would love for Norfolk and Jackson State to play. I think that would be an awesome game to see. What is that? An HBCU winning the Colonial is new Black history. Is it? What's the name of the conference? Is it not the Colonial?
Coastal? It's the Coastal.
Sorry, I keep calling it the Colonial. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, if Brian, is it a Kleenex or a tissue? We know what you're talking about.
Thank you. Appreciate
it. Is it Twitter or X? We know what you're talking about. And next year we could say we'll be saying GCAC instead of HBCUAC.
Right. All right. Last thing, Drew, and then we can get out of here because I spent time on it. Damn it, I'm going to show it. Okay, our Division I men's net ratings. There they are. Just in case you wondered who the NCAA says are the top HBCU teams. And there you go. Norfolk State moved into the number 1 spot ahead of Southern, but Southern is still number 2. 2 weeks ago, just to look at my notes, 2 weeks ago, Southern was 198. So in 2 weeks, Southern has fallen some 42 spots. But they still, because they have 2 very good wins during the non-conference, they still rank higher than teams like Central, Howard, and Texas Southern. All 3 teams are hot, but not that hot. And you can see Tennessee State is 6. Jackson State, South Carolina State round out the top 8 in terms of net rating. Over on the women's side, Jackson State, I updated this, Drew. I actually put the numbers in correctly this time. Jackson State, look at that net rating, 97, top 100. Now, Norfolk State, 21-5, net rating of 120. A&T, the record is right. I don't know if their net rating moved yet because of the loss to Stony Brook. Then a big drop after A&T. Then you get UAPB, who I think I just read a tweet that said UAPB is guaranteed to finish with their first winning season or plus 500 season in – let me hold on. I got the tweet right here. Yesterday's win marked UAPB's first winning regular season as an NCAA Division I program. That's a 27-season run. So congratulations to UAPB. Grambling State, Southern, Howard, and Maryland Eastern Shore round out the top 8 with Bethune, Alabama A&M, Coppin, and North Carolina Central sort of on the bubble of the top 8. All right. Any final thoughts or words you want to get in, Drew, so we can wrap up this show tonight?
No, Brian, I'm just excited to have to pay, Lord Jesus, to be able to get to the tournament this weekend. I look forward to getting to the SIAC next weekend, my brother.
All right. Edwin, I feel like you always I appreciate the Edwin. You look, Edwin got on me a couple weeks ago because I didn't have a graphic. Now the graphics are too small. So I will work to try to increase the graphics there, Edwin, and I'll do what I can. I'll see if I can rework the graphics there. But I appreciate you watching. Appreciate you watching. Yeah. Well, Israel, it just depends. Depends on who we get. If FAMU get somebody, but I don't know. You can't beat anybody shooting 1 of 17. I don't care how good a rebounding team you are. 1 of 17 won't cut it. I'm gonna tell you that now. Won't do it. Can't happen. Okay. Want to encourage you guys, please hit the thumbs up and the like button wherever you are. Make sure to follow the Black College Sports Network on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Shout out to those folks who are watching us on Instagram, watching us on Facebook and YouTube. I will make sure that we put Drew's interview with Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes out in its entirety. So that way you guys can see that, and should be a good watch. And so we thank Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes, and we also thank Coach Eric Jackson of Rust. And congratulations to Rust and Philander Smith and Florida Memorial and Lincoln, PA, and Fayetteville State, all tournament champions with more to come over the next week. So congratulations to all, and we say good luck to those who are still playing ball. Well, that's going to do it for this show. Thank you guys again for watching. For my friend A.D. Drew, I'm Brian Fulford. Make sure you guys follow us. Our personal Twitter handles are right there at DRB365 and at BCSN Drew. Is where you can find us on X, probably even on Instagram if you really look hard. So thanks for watching the show, guys. Do me a favor, share the show with somebody. Let them know about the Sports Wrap on Sunday night. Just two guys who love what they do, and we've been doing it for a long time. So thank you to everybody who watches, whether you watch us in the podcast format or not. Go check out the BCSN Pod Zone. Everywhere you listen and download podcasts, that's BCSN Pod Zone. Podcast of not only our show, but the Carlos Brown Show, Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, the ONG Strike Zone, as well as Brave Talk with Charles Edmond as he talks with Alcorn State basketball coaches Nate Kilbert and Landon Bussey. All of that available on the BCSN Pod Zone. Peace out, everybody. Safe.
Travel light, everybody. We'll holler.
But stay on hard.